So y'all went to Cleveland, right?
Yeah, I graduated 87. He's 85.
He was year ahead of me.
Yeah, he was Brian Crump and all that.
Right?
Yeah.
Brian.
Brian Crump.
Brian.
Crump? Yeah.
Brian with an N, not a T.
I always called him Brian Crump. I mean, he was him, Fenton, Scruggs, and all them.
Yeah, Fenton. I know Fenton real well.
I did job for his dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Fenton called me one day like, Burns, my dad's got some big bird in his garage, man. I need you to come back here and see what he's got. Well, he had caught a big blue heron and had it in his garage. I said, man, you need to get rid of this thing. You're not allowed to possess it. He didn't know what it was. So he finally opened the garage up and shoot it out.
Let's see now. Joe Burns, he bought fishtails from my cousin Randy.
Yeah. No, Randy bought it. Randy bought it from Joe.
Randy bought it from Joe.
Then Randy sold it to Tank.
I don't know Tank.
Tank bought it about 4 years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty good business?
It is now. Fishing's gone crazy. I mean, fishing is just.
Wonder why.
I don't know why it's took off so much. I mean, it's just.
Maybe that's something people can do when it's COVID.
It might have been, but Chickamauga is the number one or two bass lakes in the world right now. So everybody's fishing. And then, of course, my brother, he builds custom fishing rods. Is all he does now.
What would you do to build a custom fishing rod? I mean,
well, he started building them. He's about 21, and man, he builds probably 1,500, 2,000 a year, and he's probably 100.
Did Randy do that
No,
too?
Joe did that. You know, and the store just kept him so tied down. He couldn't really do anything. He worked like me and you. He worked 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then his rod's just been a staple for bass fishermen. And he got it, actually we got it patented. It's got a patent on it. It's had a utility patent for almost 17 years now.
What was the patent about?
Well, when my father died, when I was getting my master's degree, we had a class in patent law. And then when my father passed in 2005, my uncle was a patent attorney. Well, he came down, my brother makes these fishing rods, and they've got cork handles in them. They're individual pieces of cork about the size of a quarter, and they're about a half-inch thick. Well, he put graphite rings in between them, and he called it SRT technology, Central Ring Technology. So I said our uncle look at it. Joe's like, well, this can't get a patent. Well, he looked at it, and he's like, yeah, I can patent this.
What does that do for it?
It's just, well, you've got a graphite rod, and those graphite rings, so you've got the sensitivity is just 10 times better than any other rod. Mm-hmm. So he don't even advertise or anything. He builds them all over the United States for people.
He's making a lot of money, I guess, huh?
He's doing good, but he works 7 days a week, 15 hours a day.
What does he do? Like put them all? I guess somebody.
He has an individual blank. He puts the individual corks on them, sands them down to the size of your hand, puts the individual guides on them, and builds them to your body height, weight, whatever. And people, they've got 10 or 15 of them in their boat. So he's done well.
God, what would one cost?
They anywhere from $140 to $500.
So it's not like it's $10,000.
No.
Does that include the real?
No, you buy the real. You buy the real fishtails.
That's just the rod.
Yeah, just the rod. Yeah.
Which is why he works close with the fishing places.
Yeah.
All of them.
Mainly just fishtails is the biggest customer, but a lot of individual people calling from all over the United States. And
is it depending on which kind of fish you're fishing for?
He's mainly bass. And he does a little bit of catfish, stuff like that. But his main 95% of his business is bass fisherman.
I've been fishing once.
Yeah.
I go with Randy.
Oh yeah, Randy fishes a lot now. He goes quite a bit. Yeah. But I don't. I mean, I mainly crappie fish and walleye fish, but most other guys, they're
How'd
big
you
bass
get
fishers.
into this?
I had a friend call me, 12, 13 years ago. He goes, hey, my dad's got these things, or my father-in-law has got these big holes all in his pond. I don't know what they are. So, well, they're probably muskrats.
What was you doing before then?
Well, I've been in chemical sales my whole life. Did that for almost 25 years and actually retired January 1st and just started doing this. I was doing it full time, but just worked all the time. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to do it full time. So I retired from my corporate job and just started doing this January 1st. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I went out there and he said, well, he's got muskrats all in his pond. Well, man, get them out for him. He's worrying me to death over it. And this individual had a huge house, custom pond, and he just didn't like to look at it. So I went and trapped him out for him. And I said, he's good to go. Well, send him a bill. I said, I don't know what to charge him. Well, he'll pay you. So after that, word of mouth just started getting out. So my business has mainly grown from word of mouth.
I've used you for years.
Yeah.
And just all the time people were calling, well, twice a year or something. But that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, but like I say, a lot of and I've got where I do a lot of corporate jobs for companies. I do most of the work for all the rental companies in Cleveland. I've got most of their business.
But what do they call you for?
Just hey, customer hears something in their attic. They smell something. They saw a squirrel going in, or their garbage cans turned over every night. And as soon as they tell me that, I know exactly what they've got. So I go over and take care of it.
And you just learned that through trial and error?
Yeah, through trade. Just picked it up, and started with about 4 or 5 traps, and then just as I made more and more and more money, I bought more and more traps. Then started buying better traps, because a lot of people will call me like, hey, I caught this raccoon last night, and man, it just ate its way out of the trap. There's a cheap trap.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you'll never catch it again. So raccoons and skunks and squirrels my number one business right now, and it's been a real good year for snakes this year.
I've got two raccoons that comes on the back porch if I'm here a little late, and they'll eat the rest of the cat food.
Oh yeah.
But they're no problem.
The problem is they'll eventually crawl up in your house and start living. That's where the problem comes. Is people will call and they'll hear them in their attic at night, and they look for, after they eat, after they're getting your free cat food, they start living in your house. So that becomes a big problem.
I hate to say this, but I believe there's one that over there above my desk. I can hear him come in and go up there, and he'll scamper around, and then he'll go. I guess he goes to sleep.
Yeah, sleeps
but
all
he
day.
doesn't bother anything.
No, the problem with raccoons is about 80% of raccoons carry rabies. That's a USDA statistic. So every year in March and April, the Fish and Wildlife, they'll fly around and drop little packets of immunization all over Bradley County, Hamilton, Monroe, so the raccoons will eat it to kill so they won't have rabies. And it'll be on the news, the newspapers, and they kind of look like a hot hand. Just keep your hands warm with, and they soak them with fish so the raccoons will eat them. That's how bad of a problem the rabies is with raccoons. So when they get up in an attic or whatnot, they defecate, and that's where the problem is. Their feces has so many diseases. And I tell people, just go to the website and look it up. And once they see all that, you start breathing that in. It'll make you sick. So most of the time, somebody will call and their attic's turning yellow, because those raccoons have been up there so long, they're using the bathroom in your attic. They don't go outside, they do it in your attic. So you'll start smelling it, or your attic will start turning yellow. And that's the first sign when people say, something's up there. Then you got to get up there and clean it all out.
When was this first time you went to your father-in-law's pond and did that? How many years ago has that been?
13 years ago.
14 years ago, would you have had any idea that you'd even have a shirt with your name on it?
Oh, no, not at all.
I mean,
not at all.
This was completely an accidental business.
Accidentally. And just, went and bought 4 or 5 traps. And every year, my mother-in-law would call me, and she's deceased now. She goes, hey, I'm giving all the, son-in-laws so much money for Christmas. So I'd take that money and go buy more traps.
Yeah.
So every year, I'd buy more and more and more traps. Yeah. And that's how I started growing my business. And, unfortunately, I've just grown it where I've got probably 500 to 600 different traps now. My whole basement's covered in traps.
Golly.
Yeah, there's just, people walk in my basement like, man, they're just everywhere.
How many have you got out?
Right now, 65 traps right now are out, probably 65.
So will you put them in people's attics?
Well, it depends. I try to catch them on the outside if I can.
You remember that guy's house? We won't mention his name, but we had that customer of mine that had one in his attic, and we went and set it outside, and it was learning to get around the trap and all that stuff.
Yeah, and if they do that,
I think we ended up putting it on the roof where he was going in.
Yeah, and caught it. Yeah. So what I do is, a lot of times if they get up, if I can find where they're coming in, that's where I put the trap. I put it right where they're coming out, and they'll go in there. But a lot of I call them city coons, they've been trapped before, and they are very difficult to catch. And a lot of times I just put up it's called an excluder door, where they come out, they can't get back in, and then we just fix everything. Like like a lot of my work is exclusion work. So when I've got a raccoon that's pulled the soffit down or he's made a big hole,
Yeah.
I put up wire mesh where they can't get back in, and they'll rip it and go crazy to get back in. And if they ever do it, I go back for free. I guarantee my work for life when I do it.
How do they know to pull down the soffit and go in?
Well, it's mainly it's the easiest access point of a house.
How do they know there's a place in there to be?
I don't know, because a lot of times you've got a roof, then when your soffit goes in, well, it's limber. You know that as a builder. Well, they just stick their head in there, and they'll slide right in, and if it's 3 inches, they go right in.
They must be smelling fresh air or warm air or cold air or something.
Yeah, but I think they just look around, and they eventually know how to get in.
And this is all at night? We talk about raccoons, right?
Yeah, they come in at dusk and dawn. They'll come out at dusk, they'll feed all night, and then they'll come back in at daylight, and they'll sleep all day. So a lot of people be going to work, and they'll look outside. Well,
He may be right above us right now.
Yeah, sleeping. So, people will call me. They're like, I went to work this morning. There's a raccoon climbing down my gutters. So I think I've got a problem. So then I'll go over and just, and trap them all out and make sure I got them all.
What do you do with them then?
Well, whatever the law is for the year. Sometimes you can relocate them, and then when they come out the new laws every year, sometimes you got to dispatch them all.
What does that mean?
That means you have to put them down, and that's a federal law. That's not me, but it depends what year it is. They
change it all the time.
Yeah, the USDA.
So you have to look it up every year and say, okay, this year
they tell us. Well, mainly what counties it is, and they'll tell us what we can do, because every June. Like right now, I've got to report everything I have caught to the state of Tennessee. So the next 3 or 4 days at night, I'll be putting in.
How'd you know this when you got started?
Well, I had a state permit. You have to have a state permit to do this, and a $1 million insurance policy, or they won't give you a permit. They review what you do, then they issue you permits. And so, like right now, something I've got to start doing every night is recording everything, where I caught it, when I caught it, what I did with it.
How long will that take?
It'd probably take me a week. It'd probably take me 40 hours to do it. There's a lot to put in. And then they review it all, then they issue your permit. Once you submit your insurance to them. If you don't submit your insurance, they will not renew your permit.
But why don't you just go in of a night and write down what happened so you...
Well, I do it on when I invoice people, I keep a big file.
Yeah.
But now they've opened it up where you can go update it every night and put it in. But I always just wait for 2 good rainy days in June and just get it all done and send it in. Because, right now it's my busy time. I probably work 12, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. I had a lady call me a few minutes ago. She's got 2 squirrels. She's got 2 squirrels right now in a trap. So I've got to go by there on the way home and get them.
One of your traps?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the raccoon, if you had to put them down, how do you have to do that?
Well, just different measures. I mean,
You just got to...
it's just... You can euthanize them with certain stuff, or you can dispatch them, or but you can't drown anything no more. They quit doing that.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I never did that. It's just bad, inhumane. But your lifespan for raccoons is 2 to 4 years of a raccoon. That's its lifespan.
Wonder why?
I don't know. I think it's predators and they just don't live that long.
So it's not that they're getting sick. They just
die. Yeah, like the lifespan for rabbits, 90 days. They don't live long, especially in the wild. So that's the only one thing about raccoons that I've got to be delicate with people. Whatever the law is, I do. And most people understand that. Of course, most people's got them in their house. They don't care.
They don't want them anywhere.
They're like, get rid of them. Do what you got to do. Because a lot of people try to, shoot them or whatnot when they come out of their attic.
Some people claim they hurt cats, but
No.
if that cat's out there,
they'll eat together.
They'll eat together.
Yeah.
They'll just move right out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't hardly kill anything. They're just eating.
Have you
whatever.
seen that guy on YouTube that's feeding the raccoons with hot dogs?
Yeah. In Canada, in British Columbia. Yeah. Feeding it there'd be like 40 of them on his back porch.
And 80% of them would have rabies.
No, up there's no rabies at all because of cold weather. Zero rabies up there.
So in hot weather, rabies is worse.
Well, I just think it's where you live. Depends where you live. But up there, everybody would be like, "Where you gonna get rabies?" Well, they don't carry them in British Columbia, which I didn't know that. and until I researched it. So they don't carry them up there.
So they can feed them like pets.
Yeah, well, he does. Yeah, he does up there. So you're really not supposed to feed any kind of wildlife, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, everybody does
Probably
it.
not.
Yeah, this lady over here, I've caught about 9 squirrels because they're eating all of her bird seed. So she wants them all gone. So she's mad because the squirrels are eating all of her bird
Yeah, I
seed.
pulled up the other day and there was 10 squirrels running around the tree.
Oh yeah,
At least 10.
that's the hardest thing to catch is a squirrel. Extremely difficult. I don't even go to Chattanooga and do them anymore. They're so hard to catch.
So people call you and say, I've got a squirrel in my attic.
Yeah, they see them run in.
And you just say, I can't catch them?
Well, it depends. Sometimes, I'll do a job and I'll stay on it 3 or 4 months. Like, they've beat me. I can't catch them. I don't charge them anything.
So you take one of those 500 traps you got and you set it out for squirrels.
Well, it depends. I've got several different traps for squirrels. I've got all kinds of different traps for squirrels.
Y'all didn't invent a trap. Patent it.
Yeah, you could, but and I've thought about different ways to catch them. But
Yeah.
I'm 52. About 6 more years, I'm gonna try to get out totally. So I'm getting a little too old to do it.
Do you go through crawl spaces and everything?
Every day. I was in one yesterday getting a snake out of a crawl space.
How'd you know the snake was in there?
It was hanging out of the ladies' air
Golly!
conditioning vent. Yeah.
Was this a nice house?
Yeah, it was a pretty nice house. And whether you got a $50,000 house or $1 million house, you've had a snake in your attic, period. 95% of attics I get into, I'll find a snake skin, including my own home. I went
So she looked up and saw its head sticking out of the vent?
out of the air conditioner vent, yeah. It's just trying to find its way out. Most snakes will get an attic, and they'll just make a laugh looking for food. So if you've got a clean house, you're on a good rodent program, like Volunteer Rid of Pests comes out there and they'll put out all their stuff. You're not going to have any snakes. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, you're going to have snakes. And a lady called me about 2 weeks ago, about 7:30 at night. She had about the largest snake I've ever caught. It's about a 7.5 foot king
Did she
snake.
stay there the rest of the night?
She's pretty nervous. Actually, they had a plumber there, and the plumber thought he saw a snake. Well, she's not been back home yet. And I went up there yesterday to finish it up, where I think I've got them all out.
God.
And but no, this lady called me about 2 weeks ago. She had a 7.5 foot black snake wrapped around her clothes rod hanger. She went in there to get a shirt, and that thing was wrapped around her clothes rod hanger. It's a monster, the biggest one I've ever caught. And that lady was hysterical. Of course, my wife would have been too. But it had gotten there, they had left the garage door open and didn't shut the door. Mm-hmm. It just came through the garage and got in their house. I don't know how long it's been in there. And it was like I said, it was huge.
So she went to get clothes out of the closet and saw a black snake.
Yeah, about 7.5 foot long. And I went and grabbed it, got rid of it for her.
Was it still in there when you got there?
Yeah.
Why did you say I'll be there Thursday, or did you say I'm on my way?
Snake calls, I try to go pretty quick because people are hysterical. And I put my wife being in that situation. If it was in our house, I mean, she don't like snakes, and they're great for the environment. Snakes are. I mean, I don't kill any snakes. I let them all go because they're just great.
Where do you take them?
I take them to my house or take them wherever. Just let them go because they don't. They're just good. They kill poisonous snakes. They eat copperheads.
But now these snakes you find in houses, are they black snakes?
Black and chicken snakes. Yeah, I've never caught a poisonous snake.
Chicken snakes won't bother you. They bite you.
They ever don't hurt. They're just scared. They might nip you. Just grab them. And I just grab them by the head and the tail, take them out, or I put them in a snake bag and take them out.
You take one of those long rods and.
Yeah, and grab him. Yeah. Now, if I can just pick him up, I will. But that one was so strong, I could barely get it off the curtain rod. It was that strong. It's unbelievable how strong a snake is.
She'll never be able to go in that closet again.
She's terrified.
You'd have to go into psychotherapy.
Yeah. I started carrying contracts with me. So when I go to people's house, I was like, how much you want for his house today?
Yeah.
I got a contract with me. Oh, they're terrified. But
and you'd have, nowadays I guess you'd have to put on the sales agreement, we found a snake.
No, I'll keep it and rent it. What I would do. So, but it's been a good year for snakes. We've had a mild winter and a real rainy season. Mm-hmm. So when it's like that, you've all the vegetation.
If you had a snake, if you had a cat in the house, would you most likely find the snake?
No. No, because they're just too elusive. And most of the times they're in an attic or a crawl space. They're rarely in your living room. They're just crawling around the rafters looking for mice is all they're doing. And, and people call us like, I saw snakes. I'll just walk around and look at the rafters. A lot of times they'll just be sitting there. But it's a high possibility it could get in your house. But most times there's nothing in the house for them to eat. They're just after the mice in the basement. Or a lot of times people will call and they've got a bird nest and it's crawling up the banister, the rose bush, and it's eating all the birds.
So there's not many snakes in the attics as much as it would be in the crawl space?
Well,
of course,
it's probably 50-50.
If it's in your crawl space, you wouldn't know it anyway.
Most people go down there and they'll find a snake skin. That's when they call me. It's like, hey, I found this big giant snake skin. I need you over here to figure out what's going on.
So what do you do, go over there and shine a light?
Well, I go in there to look for it. If I can't catch it, I'll put out traps to catch it. But what I tell a lot of people is I do a lot of exclusion work. So the house I went to yesterday, all his crawl space vents had huge holes in them. So I put wire mesh over every one of those so they can't get back in. And the wire mesh is about the size of you can stick a Q-tip through the hole. It's like, that gives you peace of mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. It's just peace of mind. Now, there's no way they can get in here. But the guy that went to yesterday, a plumber saw him. Plumber's like, man, I'm out. He goes, you get these snakes out here, I'll come back. So the guy's been calling me every day. So I'm pretty sure they're all gone. So now his plumber's coming back tomorrow.
Well, how would you know if they're gone?
Well, I put traps down there where they see them. And a lot of times they're still down there, they'll get stuck on these big boards I put out. And once they're on there, I just take them out and get them off there and let them go. And so they've not been on there in 5 days. If they're down there living, I usually catch them within 3 or 4 days. That's why I told the guy I'm pretty successful about catching them. But I tell people with snakes that I don't catch, it might still be there, but I think it's gone. And they just have to take my word for it. But the biggest part of that is just doing exclusion work to keep them out. And with any animal, is exclusion work.
Well, what would they do to treat a house to keep snakes out?
Really, there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's a lot of, I've seen.
I heard mothballs.
Yeah, that guy had 1,000 mothballs out and didn't do anything. I don't know what the deal with mothballs, but man, everywhere I go, somebody's got something. They'll have just bags of them out, and they don't do anything. I don't know what.
Maybe that attracts them.
It could be. I don't know what the deal is with it, but man, mothballs are just like they think I guess it's like bleach. They think it'll cure everything. So people put out mothballs, get rid of squirrels, and they don't care. They just go right on.
What was your first chance after you got the muskrats out of the pond? How did you jump to I'm gonna grab this snake?
Well, snakes kind of came later on, and a lot of people just started calling me about skunks and raccoons, and then I just started buying more and more supplies, and I ended up buying a snake grabber, which I've had for years. And the first time I used that snake grabber is where a farmer called me. He had 3 big owls, baby owls, in his combine auger where it spun around, and they were huge owls. And so the mama was there and the 3 babies. Man, he said, I can get these things out of here. He goes, I'm scared to start my tractor. So I just went with those tongs, just grabbed them, just threw them up in the air, and they all flew off. He's like, man, I've been here for 2 weeks trying to get these things out of here because I didn't want to kill them.
Yeah.
Because they were beautiful owls. I forgot what they were. They were the barn owls. Mm-hmm. He goes, I just felt bad about grinding them up. And then, so I just went over and just grabbed them, and just, once you grab them and pull them out, they're not happy. They just throw them up there and they flew off. And I was like, and he's like, man. And I said, so he started giving me a lot of business.
You put on gloves?
No, I just grabbed them, took them off. I'll wear gloves. Now, I put on gloves when I'm getting baby raccoons out. Here lately, I've caught about 40 or 50 baby raccoons.
Because of the rabies?
That's the only reason because of rabies. And I just, get the little babies out and get them out. So that's been a lot for, right now I'm doing mainly just skunks and possums and beavers. Beavers have gotten real big right now.
Are they in the city or the county?
Oh, yeah, city. I do all the work for the city of Cleveland. Like, all the beavers, and they stop up Mouse Creek. They stop up everything.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Out there behind Harry's on Mouse Creek, all that back there. I've been getting beavers out there for about 7 years now.
Have you ever seen those homeless people living behind there?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I go in there 2-3 days a week.
There's a city.
It's unbelievable how big it is. Well, most of them have moved up. You know that new townhouse they built there?
I built it.
Yeah, they're right there. I mean, they're
I know
20
it.
feet behind it.
They're
Yeah.
20 feet behind
And
it.
I walked back in there.
They've called the city 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, they well, I was missing some traps back there, and I thought those.
They've got a trail.
Oh yeah, it's like a hiking trail. So I thought they were still in my traps. So I called my buddy as a police officer. I said, I need to go in here and see if these guys got my traps. About $500 worth of traps. So he and about 3 other guys went in there and cleared it out, and we never did find them. I'm sure they took them and sold them for the scrap. And but I've not had any problems ever since that. Getting my traps in there. But yeah, it's a sad situation in there.
It is. I don't understand what the deal is. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Have you, now they're supposed to be, when you go further behind Chili's, there's supposed to be even more living there.
Yes, I don't do
hadn't
much
been
work
that
behind
far
there.
back.
I hadn't either. I just had the problems behind the Walmart there.
Could you imagine being at 30-degree weather and sleeping outside? With
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't start a fire.
Yeah, I was. Those campsites looked like a base camp on a hunting trip. They had so many of them. I was really shocked. But,
And grocery buggies.
yeah,
There must be 30 grocery buggies.
yeah, all back in there. I've never been back. I was scared to go with myself, so I called my buddy, and he went there. About 3 officers and cleared them all
Somebody
out.
told me they had a shower back there. They had a
I
water
didn't
hose.
see it. Yeah, I kind of stayed back a little bit. So
I'd be more. Would you be more afraid of the homeless or the beavers?
If the beaver was alive, the beaver. If he, beavers are they're big animals.
Why do they have? They'll dam up a creek in a few hours. won't they?
Yeah.
What
And-
makes them want to do that?
Well, they build a dam for protection. So they'll build a dam. They don't have 4 or 5 more dams behind it. So
Yeah.
they build that dam up. The water's 4 or 5 foot deep. So if a predator comes, he goes under the water and he's gone. So he'll go 50, 60 feet and pop up. So he's doing it for safety. So he can go underwater and escape you. Well, if the water's a foot deep, the predator, coyote, or whatever, will catch it. That's why they do that.
Just because he's finding a place, he's trying to make an escape route.
Yeah, and he dams it up so he can swim out there in a lake or a pond or whatnot. That's like, behind Harry's there. That used to be the Painter Pond. When we were kids, we used to fish it. Well, that pond's still there, and it pushes out tens of thousands of gallons of water. Well, there's 2 streams that go down through there.
I've never been to that pond.
Oh, it's unbelievable how deep it is, the fish and everything in there. Well, those beavers dam that up and make it deeper. And then it starts flooding everything. It Harry's there and it floods the road, so it puts the city in a bind. So I keep them out of there.
The owner of that, I don't know if they can find the owner of that land.
They can't. They talked to him one time, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Yeah, just do what you gotta do, keep them out of there." I said, "Okay." So he's been pretty cooperative. I don't know what his name is.
I don't either, but I just know he's
Yeah,
elusive, sort of.
he is. He's got a pretty big piece of property back there.
Yeah, I don't know what they'd ever do with it.
No, I mean, 'cause that Painter Pond will never dry up unless they re-diverted it somehow.
Is it spring fed or
Yeah.
just off from Mouse
Spring
Creek?
fed, and it looks like a Florida spring. It's so clear and deep. It's unbelievable how much water comes out of that thing.
Golly,
Yeah, that pond's been there since I was a kid.
somebody ought to fly a drone across there.
Honestly, of course, you just walk right back there, and wherever you see the dead trees, that's where that pond's at. And it's a big pond. It's probably an acre.
Is
at
that
least.
right?
Yeah, it's real deep.
Golly.
And you walk all the way around it. And he just have like a little walkway all the way around it. It's growed up in the now, but in the fall, it's easy to walk around it, and it's just full of fish.
Reckon the homeless fish over there?
I really never saw them come back there that much. I think they mainly just stay right there behind those dumpsters where you built
Maybe
that
so,
at.
yeah.
Now they're still there. I haven't been back there in a while.
You know, those homeless now, they're getting to where you can't hardly tell who's homeless or who's not.
You're right.
I mean,
They just work everywhere, but some people just don't want to work, do they?
no, and I mean, those people, I had to grade that all the way out to as far as they owned, because they didn't want any. I had to build the fence there for them, and they just go around the fence.
Yeah, I saw that new fence. Yeah, I saw that. I used to go in there every once in a while. I'd park right there and walk down that. There's a levee goes all the way down through there, but it was just too far to walk down there, so I just parked right there behind Harry's and walked straight to those cattails now.
Yeah.
It's quicker access to get
Yeah.
back there. We've
You
got
know-
it dry back there now.
You know, I see some people going into Harry's that I think, are you one of these homeless people?
Yeah, they could be.
They would stop there at that building and plug their phone chargers into the temporary power pole
Oh, really? I didn't notice
to
that.
charge their phone.
Wow. Homeless got a phone bill. Where
Yeah.
are the bills going?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's something else right there.
Maybe it's one of those prepaid deals.
It could be. It could be. So.
And every now and then you'll see them walk into Panera Bread with a old cup, Panera Bread cup, like they're just getting a refill.
They could be. I've never not. They've got there's a lot of raccoons right there behind Panera Bread. You know that old there's like a water retention pond there.
Yeah.
It's full of raccoons in there. They've called me a couple times wanting to get rid of those raccoons back there because they're all in their dumpsters at night.
If you was to drive around to those dumpsters at night, you'd see raccoons
Every
everywhere.
dumpster in Cleveland. Yeah, because the biggest thing with my business is it's gotten so busy, it's loss of habitat. So you look around Cleveland, I mean, everything's gone.
Where can they go?
Well, they go to residential neighborhoods and get in houses, like right there behind where they're building that new car wash, where they're with that Northern Tool.
Yeah.
My business by Tomahawk and Mouse Creek has went up 10 times because that was a big tract of land. That was all woods,
Yeah.
so it's all gone now. So all those animals, wildlife, have went to the neighborhoods.
They don't have anywhere else to go.
It's loss of habitat. Had a guy call me the other day. He left his garage door open, shut it about 1 in the morning, trapped a raccoon in there, and man, that thing destroyed his garage trying to get out of there. Put holes all in his wall. It's unbelievable. And finally got up in the attic, pulled the crawl space door and got in the attic. Yeah, and I went over there and called it for him. He was going on vacation. He said, man, here's the key to my house. He's like, get this thing out of here while we're gone. He goes, we can hear it at night up there. It's going crazy. So it's trying to get out. So I caught it the next day pretty quick. And it was just trying to get out because he trapped it in there because he was feeding his cat and stuff in the garage.
Yeah.
And he, like I do, sometimes you get to shut your garage door and lock that thing in there. And he had some plywood in there. And man, it had a thing of kindling, probably that big, where it scratched where your garage door attaches to probably a 2x6. It's unbelievable how that thing almost chewed all the way through it, trying to get out.
Because he could sense that
He
was
probably
outside.
smelled the air.
Their claws that long, right?
They're dangerous animals. It's the most dangerous animal out there.
If they're cornered.
Yes.
If they're not cornered,
They'll run from you.
no problem.
Yeah, they'll run from you.
They walk like this, don't
Yeah. Everybody wants them as a pet. And I was like, man, these things are extremely dangerous. That's what I tell people. And, and a raccoon's number one defense is, when he's running from a predator, he runs to a creek. Or if a coyote or a dog's after him, he'll get that dog or coyote to swim out to him. He jumps on its head and drowns it. That's how a coyote defends himself.
That was on where the red fern grows. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's how they defend themselves.
Yeah.
Then they just claw your neck or whatever. So if it got on you, it'd kill you. That's what I tell people. You need to get away from them. And they're big animals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 8, 10, 12 pounds.
Yeah, that one that comes up here is bigger than that. It's probably 10, 15 pounds. It's huge.
He's eating well.
Yeah.
So he has 4 to 6 babies.
They're
every
more.
year.
They're more. I mean, they'll wash their food too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the cat bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, they love living over here.
What I'm afraid is the cat comes in on the doggy door on the back porch and stays out there in the winter. I'm afraid the raccoon will come in.
It will.
And they'll get in a fight, but so far they hadn't.
Well, I've done several jobs for people where they've got up in the middle of the night and they've heard something and they've got a cat or a dog door and they've come in, raccoons be on their table eating all their cereal. Then they go right back out. It happens all the time.
They may do that regularly.
Yeah, and that lady kept hearing stuff and walked down there and she had 3 raccoons. I ended up catching 13 raccoons out of her house. And they were going through that doggy door. So finally she got on Amazon and found her one where she locked it every night. When her cat came in, she put a bar or something through it to keep it out. But that's pretty common that was coming in your house.
If you didn't know it, they could come in and leave and just
Well, a lot
never
of
know
times you can smell them because they'll destroy a kitchen. I mean, they'll tear all the boxes apart.
So a raccoon's worse than a squirrel.
Well, the only problem about squirrels is they love chewing wires. That's the only bad thing about a squirrel. They'll chew all your electrical wires.
Now, why do they want to do that?
I don't know why. And it's mainly with older homes. Like I'll go to houses catch squirrels, and they're like, make sure there's no damage. Well, their utility lines, electrical wires will be stripped. And if you need to call electrician, put junction boxes in here. Some way you can rewire your house because they're exposed wires. And I've had them where a squirrel's just been electrocuted with the mouth still on the wire in attics. But most squirrel jobs they've got to get an electrician there to replace all that wiring.
You could keep an electrician busy.
Yeah, if you can find one.
Yeah. Well, you can't hardly find
You can't find nobody to do anything. So I don't do any of that. If it's pretty simple, I'll put some black tape over it and say, hey, get somebody out here. But it's just hard to find anybody.
Do you have any help at all, or just one man?
Well, my little nephew's helped me right now. He's 16, so he's learning the trade now. So if he wants to take it over, he can one day. So it's really nice having a little young, stocky 16-year-old that get out and wants to work. So he helps me usually every Monday and Saturday while he's off school. So he enjoys it.
Do you try to schedule your work to where you think he'll be with you?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's my hard work. Like tomorrow, I got 9 jobs, and they're all hard. And he can get up those, like, exclusion work's a big part of my job. So if somebody's got an attic vent, they've got squirrels coming in, we put wire mesh over those. We'll cut them to size.
You need a long ladder.
Yeah.
10 snips.
Yeah. And he gets up there and just, he's young, but we do a lot of that from the inside. So he'll go in there and, just do it real quick. Or, 20 years ago, I could do it. But Reed really helps me. He's a hard worker. He enjoys doing it. And I pay him good because I don't want to get up there and do it. So
it's hot up there.
It's hot. And
itchy.
Yeah, and he don't even break a sweat. I'm changing clothes 3 times a day. You know how it is. You're around my age.
Yeah.
So like tomorrow, we've got 8 or 9
jobs.
Tomorrow.
If you gave every job 2 hours, you can't give every job 2 hours.
No, and some of them we're going to finish up pretty quick.
So you're thinking to yourself, okay, roughly an hour a job.
When we get there, yeah. But like I say, I've got now where I'll pre-cut all the wire because after 13 years, I finally found these little snips you put on your drill.
Yeah.
Little DeWalt snips.
Yeah.
And they cut. And I use nothing but stainless steel wire mesh. I don't use any cheap galvanized because I go behind a lot of other people that use that cheap galvanized, and they give the homeowner a 1-year warranty. Well, in a year and a half, it's rotted.
Yeah.
So I use all stainless steel. I said they will never chew through this. If they do, you need to move if they've chewed back through this, or I'll come back for free. But I spent a lot of money on a roll of wire, because I want to do quality work, and I want somebody to have to call me back and say, hey, they chewed right through it. They'll never chew through that.
You cut some strips up before you leave then.
It depends on the job, and a lot of times I'll just pre-measure it, then go home and cut it.
Yeah.
And he's with me. He'll get up there and he'll drill it in.
So every job's almost like 2 trips. One to see
every job's probably 7 to 10 trips I do. Every job. Because you're not going to catch everything that quick. Like, so I'll go catch a couple raccoons, but I want to make sure I've got everything. I don't want to catch one, get paid. Okay, I caught it. And most people will be like, okay, well, thank you. Because I'll catch, 3 to 5 raccoons per house, 3 to 6 skunks, 2 to 4 groundhogs. So I just don't catch it and leave. I want to make sure that I've done the customer a good job and I've caught everything, because they don't know how many they've got.
Yeah, you could say I caught it, and
they're like,
that was
okay,
another one.
Here's your money. Yeah, then they called me back a month later.
That was another one.
I had a lady in Charleston call me. She said, I got 3 raccoons. So I caught 3. Well, I appreciate it. Well, there's probably more than that. No, I think we're good. So, man, usually I catch quite a few, raccoons. Well, she called me back and said, hey, I saw 2 more. So I went back for free. I'm not going to charge her again, because it's not cheap catching wildlife.
No.
So, and same thing with everything else. I try to be fair to people.
What was they ever say? We want a price. How you gonna give a price when you don't know?
Well, I get free estimates. So if somebody calls and what do you charge? It's free. Let me come look at it for you, and I'll give them a price. In some jobs like squirrels, I just can't catch them, and I'm just like, I can't catch them. You can call somebody else, but they have beat me, and I've spent 15 trips, and I do not charge them. If I don't catch, you don't pay me. But a lot of people want to pay you anyway. They have morals and ethics. But if I don't, like I say, I don't catch it, you don't pay me. And that's just the way I've always done business.
Is your Tuesday filled up too, like Monday, or is Monday busy?
Yeah, I'm busy, every day. I try not to work on the Lord's Day unless somebody calls me in a panic, and then I'll go. And they're just hysterical. That lady on Snake called on a Sunday, and I went because she was scared to death. And, but if somebody calls wildlife technicians, It's like, what's your schedule? Or I need you now.
Yeah.
They don't call me like, hey, didn't you price me a house? When they call me, it's an emergency because they've got a raccoon, squirrel, or something in their attic crawl space. So it's not. So you better get out there. They're gonna call somebody else.
You know, if you got stopped by the police for speeding, you could say, "Hey, I'm in the wildlife technician business, and I've got a lady scared out here that's got a snake in her house."
And, you know, and that's never happened. But I went pretty quick that one lady's house because she was an older lady, and I'd have told them to listen. You know, if I got pulled over, I'd call one of my buddies. You know, I know a bunch of cops. Listen, this lady's got a snake. I'm just gonna give her so I can catch it. Now they probably understand. Come with me. Well, matter of fact, the sheriff's son's mom called me about 3 weeks ago, and she had a snake in her shoes. She was coming out of her house. She was coming out of her house, and she leaves her sandals on the front porch. We had a snake in them.
On the front porch?
On the front porch in her sandals. So she must put her sandals on and check the mail. So he goes, so her son called, hey, this is so-and-so, my dad's sheriff. I said, what's that going on? Man, we got a snake here. And they called 911. They called everybody. So I said, well, so I'm about 4 minutes from you. And I'll tell you where it's at. It's right there by, you might have built those, Dee, on Old Tasso Road. Is it Old Tasso Road? You know where Manufacturers Chemicals is?
Yeah.
You go down about a mile and take a left. All those new townhouses in there. You know where I'm at?
Yeah.
A ton of them.
Yeah.
Well, she lived back there. So I went over real quick and got them. Well, as soon as I pulled up, man, it's like 5 city cop cars pulled up. Hey, man, what's the deal with that snake? Well, I done got it. Well, how'd you get so quick? Well, that's just what I do. So, and this real big lieutenant's a black gentleman. He pulled up. How'd you get that thing? He said, yeah, it's right here in this bag. Boy, he screamed like a baby. Scared to death. So it's about a 5-foot chicken snake. So I told them, it was in my snake bag. So I told those guys, just feel it. I want you to feel how strong the snake is. So they would grab it, and they couldn't hold on to it. And I said, you imagine grabbing about a 14-foot python. You'd never get away from it. And that guy was so funny. He was terrified. They're like, well, she called 911. I guess they all came because I think at one time she was married to the sheriff. Oh. You know, and it was a quick catch. So I didn't really charge her much because I was actually driving by. Mm-hmm. But man, she's fixing to put her shoes on. That thing's wrapped up in her sandals.
What if you go into your closet and you put on your shoes and you got a snake in your shoe?
You'll know it real quick.
I'll dream about snakes tonight.
That's it. You'll dream about them. So I went red fishing last year, and I don't get out of town too much because people call me all the time. Where my wife called, that's before I was retired. She called my work number, my company number. Well, hey, something, what's wrong? There's a snake in the garage. I said, yeah, you know, I thought I smelled one in there, and I was halfway down to Louisiana going red fishing. Well, that thing, there was a bird nest in the motor of the garage door opener, and that snake had went around the chain. So when I opened the garage door, the chain cut it, and it fell in the garage, and it was sitting there bleeding. I'm like, oh no. Well, what am I going to do? She was in a panic. So I called my buddy that helps me a little bit. Yeah. I said, man, where are you at, Seymour? He goes, I said, yeah, I got to get you to go to my house and find this snake. So he went over there. We never did find it. I guess it just went out. My garage isn't big. It's very clean, so it must have got out. But she was in a panic. So that garage door is closed.
And that's not supposed to happen on your house.
No, my house. So that's my own home.
Yeah.
So what I really look for now, when I get a snake call, I look for bird nest. So that bird had built a nest in my garage door opener, and that snake was going to eat all the babies.
So if you've got a bird's nest,
you need
chances are snakes trying to get there.
Very highly.
Boy, I'd hate to be a bird, wouldn't you?
That's it. Like they're in your rose bushes and stuff. People's like, oh, there's a snake in my rose bushes. I'm like, yeah, he's after you. Is there a bird nest there? Yeah, he's after them. That's what they eat. They eat birds.
What if they go real high up in the trees? Will snakes
They'll climb anything. I mean, I had a lady call me from around Hamilton Place. She had a snake in her house. It's $1 million home. That thing was crawling across the wall and knocking her pictures off the wall. She's in her bedroom, kept hearing all these pictures falling, and that thing was crawling across her wall in her house. And how it got in there, I think the door got cracked and it got in there, and it was about a 6.5 footer. And she's hysterical. She gets a bird nest, she calls me, come get this bird nest today. I'll pay whatever you want, because she's terrified as of today. She had me put wire mesh over her vents, like in her hardwood floor, and drill the vents down to the hardwood.
That's not a bad idea.
$1 million house, because she was afraid they were going to come up and knock
Yeah.
the vents off. So I put wire mesh over them, then drilled. I said, now, ma'am, you've got beautiful floors. I don't care. Drill those vents down where no snake got through here. It's okay. Went through her whole house and did it. Yeah. And
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You could go around just doing that to people's houses.
Yeah, drill them down. And like I had a guy call me that day, he had a possum in his ductwork, and it was chewing through the metal vent to try to get out. And his wife called when he was at work, and he had gotten her air duct and trying to get out. And she showed me a video of it. Big possum. So a lot of wildlife gets in through your air conditioner. So most homes now have a split unit. When I grew up, it was just the
package.
The package.
Yeah.
So when they do that, a lot of guys will put the rain guard on it and just come to about the ground and stop. Well, animals just dig underneath that because it's so wet from the.
That's where a lot of water comes in.
Yeah,
too.
so they're digging the worms up, then they just go in there, and once they get in that rain guard, you got 2 trunks, so they go straight in there. Well, they'll dig that trunk out and live in that trunk of the air conditioner. Well, when I was a kid, all of ours were metal. Boy, your mom and dad's is all metal.
Yeah.
Now it's just cheap.
Got that shroud over it.
Yeah, you just stick your finger through it. And a lot of air conditioners, the package is, when you sit them down, they've got big holes underneath them. That's where the fork trucks lift them. Well, a raccoon, skunk, possum, anything goes right through that. When it goes through it, it accesses your house.
Another thing is they'll build them so close to the ground that when they put those package units on the back and they go in, they're actually digging down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's if the crawl space is higher, then there's less chance of that happening because the hole's up a little higher.
Yeah, but probably 80% of my wildlife goes through a ductwork, 80% of it, and they destroy it. And they've got to come get it all.
But now, when you figure that keeps one guy busy, I guess other people do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's enough work in Cleveland for everybody.
But when you figure all the houses in Cleveland, probably not. Odds of me having a snake in my house are very slim.
Well, it's very slim, but like I say, 90% of attics I get into, I will find a snake skin. But they've just made a loop and they've left. So they didn't find any food. And that's why I tell people, get somebody out here, like Volunteer Rid of Pests, and get some bait boxes up here. Because if you got mice, you're going to have a snake, period. They will find them.
Now mice under a house, that's pretty common, right?
That's common, but that's where those snakes. They'll go through those attic vents or through the air conditioner and look for a snake. I look for the mice. And if you're crawl space, like everybody's doing this encapsulation right now.
Yeah.
They're cleaning it. Like most crawl space I go in, they're dirty. They got all. Everybody builds a house. They want to keep their lumber. And they're never going to use it, but they'll keep it for 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get all this out of here if you don't want to have snake and rats, because right now, mice, you've got these big European rats now. They're about 9 inches long, got about a 9-inch tail. They're everywhere. I've got about 5 jobs going on right now, and they're monsters. And they'll chew through a door to get in your house.
We clean the crawl space out, level it, take all the wood out, and put a thin layer of gravel all over the crawl space. At least there's nothing in there that's going to attract them.
But 95% of houses don't have that. They just got just mud, whatever.
No plastic.
No, nothing. No vapor barrier. So I used to do a little bit of that vapor barrier. I don't do it too much now. I work a lot with Volunteer Rid of Pests. I do all their wildlife removal. So they got young guys to do all that. So a lot of people are into that encapsulation now.
Is that Carl Collins' sister? Volunteer Rid of Pests.
Not Eric Gardner.
Oh, Eric, yeah.
Eric
I think
Gardner.
He bought it from her.
He might have.
Yeah.
Well, I think his dad started it. His dad started, then Eric took it over, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right.
Yeah, but like I met Eric about 6 years ago, and
he's a nice guy.
He is, and he's like, man,
he lives and breathes.
He's done
pest
well.
control.
Yeah, he's done well, and he's like me. You're not happy, don't pay me. And I'm sure some people I've done work for are not happy. If they tell me, it's like, hey, you're good. You don't owe me nothing. If I'm gonna pay you something, it's like, man, put it in your offering plate on Sunday, and we'll both be happy. That's what I tell them, because you can't make everybody happy.
You can't make everybody.
But like I said, I've got 73 Google reviews, and they're all fabulous. So people's like, they'll go to my Google reviews. Man, your reviews are all 5-star, and that's why I get a lot of my work.
I've got one, and some lady says that one of my apartments is junky, the people that live there, but Hey,
Move.
what can I do
Move.
with them? I
Yeah,
mean,
move.
that's their place.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I can't tell them how to live.
Yeah, I mean, the Google review are good and bad, but fortunately, all mine are good. I've had one Google review lady's like, well, I'm not paying you $100 to come out here and get something out of my house. Well, I'm like, well, first of all, I don't do no work for $100. And she
Yeah.
gave me a 1-star review. It's like, man, you find somebody to come all the way out there to do it for $100?
Yeah.
You've done well, because I'm not driving all the way out there to do it.
Just forget it.
Yeah, just, gave me, that's the only bad review I've ever had. But other than that, I had 2 reviews last
Can you
night.
take those off? I don't know if you can take them off.
I don't even mess with it. I don't care. It's like, one's not bad. And, and I did a job for a guy in Nashville. He called me. He goes, man, I said, I heard you, I read your reviews. My daughter lives in a big giant house in North Shore. She's got raccoons in there, and just go get them and send me a bill. No problem. So the girl's like, well, I think it's up there. We saw it in the backyard the other day. Well, that thing was coming out, ate a hole through her roof. And so when it came out, there's insulation all down the house where it was crawling up and down the house. So I caught that pretty quick. And she's like, I don't see how it got in. So you see that big hole up in your roof? It ate a hole through the roof and the wood and got in there. So they're pretty vicious animals. So
What other wildlife gets in?
I do a lot of possum jobs. I mean, these possums get in, and that's probably the number one animal I catch is a possum. But they are extremely great for the environment. They're the only animal that does not carry rabies, and they eat over 5,000 ticks a year. So they're great to have around. They're the garbage can of the woods, is what they call them.
You never hear of a possum hurting a cat?
No, I pick them up. I just pick them up by the back of the neck when I would get them in the house. I just grab and pick them up.
You don't even have to. You don't have. Is there a law about what to do with them?
No, just let them go. Most everything you can let go.
It's just if something has typical have rabies.
Yeah, and the USDA sets that every year.
So a possum's just a.
They're just a nuisance. They just dig underneath the air conditioner, and they destroy. They pull all the insulation down, and they'll destroy your air conditioner. Like this guy went the other day, he had to get all new ductwork. It chewed every bit of his ductwork up, and that's where you're getting your money at.
Why do they like ductwork?
Well, they're licking the condensation, and then once they get in there, it's either warm or hot, and it's shelter. So they're sitting in a ductwork getting air blown on them all night long.
What if there's a possum living under your house, and a raccoon decides he's going to move in under your house?
They cohabitate. I've caught them both. I don't think they bother each other. They just go their separate ways. Yeah, they just live together.
Do you think these animals are more intelligent than maybe I or the general public would think?
Oh, they're smart, because a lot of people, they have no idea that they're living with an animal until they see it or they actually hear it. And I tell people, well, you've had these possums or whatnot forever. Well, how do you know? Because there's 50 pounds of feces underneath your house or in your attic. Then I take pictures of everything I do. When I get in an attic, I'll take pictures of their whole attic. This is what you got. This is how long this thing's been living here. I clean up a little bit of stuff, but usually I'll just pass that on to Eric. He's got the equipment to suck all the insulation out and then blow it back in. And insurance will pay for any
So
raccoon.
Eric will insulate your attic?
He does if he can find help. If he can't find help, he just won't do it. I just tell him, hey, you need to reach out to somebody and find somebody. Most people are not going to work hard, and that's hard work.
Call Calfee Insulation or whoever.
Whoever does it.
So they suck out we did that. You did that for me on the house I forget where it was. They had a animal in there, and you went and cleaned it out, and I had all the insulation sucked out and had it reblown.
Yeah, and that is expensive.
It is expensive.
Yeah, but but these days it's hard to find somebody that's going to get dirty and work like that. That's why nobody does it, because it's very hard work and hot.
At this rate, in 5 years, if you can dig a ditch, you can charge $50 an hour.
Absolutely, all day long. And I keep, it's like when I set my prices, whether you're living in a $100,000 house or $1 million, same price. The only way I go up, if I've got to go to Athens, Chattanooga, or Dayton, I raise my price. Other than that, I try to be fair to everybody, and you don't pay us till the job's done. That's one thing that I've grown my business on is you pay me when you're happy. If you're not happy, don't pay me, and I think that's really helped my business grow.
It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, I mean, most people want the money up front. I mean, if somebody comes to my house, they want their money up front.
Yeah.
You will show back up, especially a plumber or electrician. They want it up front, which I just don't do that. So my wife takes care of all the billing, and keeps up with her LLC and does all that.
I don't like money to get between the relationship anyway.
Yeah, that's why I
I
don't
want
do
it
it
to
to
be
last.
something separate besides the money.
Exactly. Yeah, just try to keep people happy. So the wildlife business is doing well, just because of it's mainly loss of habitat.
What about deer? No calls for deer, right?
I get them every day. You got to call TWRA, Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency. They call them and they'll explain to them. Now, if somebody hits a deer and it goes in your yard, if it's within, I think 15 feet, the city will come get it. And if it's 16 and a half, they won't come get it. Whatever the law is on the right of way. If it's within the right of way, the road department will come get it. But if it's not, they call me and I go get it. Like I got a deer on Mermaid Mattress a month ago. Somebody hit a deer on Georgetown Road. It's dead in the parking lot.
Well, how do you get it up?
Pick it up and throw it in the truck.
How heavy are they?
That was about 140 pounds. So it was tough on an
Or you
old man.
take it to the dump?
I just take it to my farm, throw it away. Dump won't take it. Just take it to your farm, let it go, and nature, coyote and stuff will eat it.
So the dump won't take a dead
I
animal?
think no animal. They got big signs up now.
Wonder why?
I don't know. No
Looks like
dead
that'd be
animals.
the place to take them.
Yeah. So I don't know what, like, processors and stuff. I don't know what they do with all their
Yeah, what do they do
carcasses.
with their stuff?
I have no idea, but they got big signs up. You can't take them. So I just take them.
Are there any processors anymore?
I think there's one in Dayton, and that's about it.
Don Hill, they had
I
Don
used to use
Hill.
Don all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was going to college, I cleaned chimneys, and I cleaned his chimney for free, and he cleaned all my deer for free. It's like $15. It's $125 now to get deer cleaned, processed. So, but I think Hamptons does it. Man, that's about it. There's nobody in Bradley County does it. And of course, it's just like a 60-day feast or famine, then it's over. I can't even get a I can't even get a cow processed. It's an hour. It's a year out to get a cow.
Maybe they
processed.
grind the bones up or something.
I don't know I don't know. But these processors, they'll clean, 2,000 to 3,000 deer. So I know what they're doing with them.
But what about just deer coming? They're getting to where they're everywhere now.
I get calls every day. I had a guy today had one underneath his porch, a little baby fawn. He said, man, honey, it's right underneath her steps. He goes, what do I do? So we got to call State of Tennessee, and they'll tell you to leave it alone, or they'll send a game warden out there. Or
So
whatnot.
you can't do that.
Deer or bear, I can't do anything with them.
Now why is that?
I don't know, but I can do anything like wild hogs. They're you kind of explain the situation to them, but we don't have too much hog problem here. But I get deer calls every day. People say, well, there's a deer in my yard. Well,
Of course, the deer is going to run before you get to the phone.
But most people, they just kind of panic. They see a deer laying in the yard. It's unbelievable. But there's deer everywhere in Bradley County. They're everywhere. Cleveland, they get hit all the time. So there's just a lot of deer.
I'm building a medical building down Westland Drive, and they've been coming in that parking lot while we were working.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that Greenway's just full of deer.
But they won't hurt you at all.
Nah, they just looking at you. Yeah, they don't care. People feed them all the time, Bradley County. In Cleveland, they got feeders up and just feed them. Which that's their thing.
But if they come in my backyard, the dog barks.
Yeah, they're gone.
That drives everybody crazy.
There's been quite a few bear in the city of Cleveland the last couple of weeks.
Now somebody told me that a black bear wouldn't scare them at all. Is that true?
So I do nothing with bears. I don't really know that. I get bear calls once a week. I say, you call TWRA Crossville.
Is that government?
That's just state of Tennessee.
So they'll send somebody out.
I guess they just talk to the homeowner and they'll make a judgment call. But bears are just like everything else. They're just walking around and somebody sees it and they go into a full panic.
Yeah.
And they call them, and so I don't know what they do. I think if they come to a house 5 or 6 times and gets in your garbage can, they'll set a trap up. But I don't know. I'm pretty quick about you call State of Tennessee and they'll help you with that. Well, and that's usually what they do.
Now I called you about a snapping turtle one time that bit one of my ducks. Mm-hmm. You just can't do nothing with them, can you?
It's illegal even to possess a turtle. Yeah, I can trap turtles, but they're extremely hard to catch and it's very expensive. But if you've got turtles in a pond, that means you've got a very healthy pond. But they will feast on ducks, baby ducks. They'll eat every one of them. And there's nothing you can do about it. Except get rid of all the turtles, which is...
No, they're not just turtles, they're snapping turtles.
Yeah, big snapping turtles, yeah.
Where do they come from?
Well, right now they're just migrating. If you look, you start driving down the road, you'll see snapping turtles dead on the side of the road. because they're
the snapping turtle's always like
they're
this
big.
big. Yeah.
Oh, they're giants. They're right now. They're mating, and you'll see them walking down the road, crossing Key Street, and they're out just looking for different places to go to mate. So they're. I mean, in Charleston, there's one walking down the side of the road, and it was like a hubcap walk. It was a giant, and it was just going to somewhere else to live.
But they are so evil animals, aren't
No,
they? Those
well,
snapping turtles.
Well, they're just living. I mean, they're just looking for food. You know, like killing your baby ducks or,
Well, this
or fish.
duck, it bit its leg, and its leg was broke,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was trying to run around like the other ducks. And
You eventually get it.
you know, a lady took that duck because she fosters hurt ducks.
I didn't know they did that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people call me about rehabilitation. It's like, hey, you know, I don't do that. I'm a state licensed trapper. It's all I do. And so a lot of people call wanting you to do
What
stuff.
about snapping turtles? Should I get set out traps for those?
No, because they're really good. They keep a pond in balance. I've always been told that if you've got a pond full of turtles, you've got an extremely healthy ecosystem. That's what I've been told. I've just always passed that on. But you know, that's just, and they don't get all the ducks. They're gonna they might get some, but it'd be hard. Of course, a lot of people they get mad and just shoot them. But I don't do too much with turtles because they're just so hard to catch.
What can you even do with them?
Well,
Now, we had one down at that building I built in Chattanooga where we was,
in the footer.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and did I call you about that?
Yeah, something like that. You know, if somebody couldn't get it out, I just go over and grab it, just lift it up, and let it go on its way. And that, but it like I told you, it'll leave, and it did.
It did, yeah.
It just got lost, and it'll get up and leave.
What we did was we dug it out where it'd have a place to go, and by morning it was
It's gone. That's why I told you it'd be gone next day. That's what I tell a lot of people. I don't get too many calls on turtles at all. Just a few where they've just got a duck or they've done something. So, but like I said, I get maybe 4 turtle calls a year, if that.
Yeah.
So they're not really too bad.
The snapping turtles, will they bite your toes if you're in the pond?
You know, they might. I think maybe they'd run from you, to be honest with you. You know, we never heard of anything about like that, but they don't want to be around you. They're like a snake, man. A snake tries to get away from you. Every snake I go to, he's trying to, you know, once he gets corner, that's when he gets defensive. So, but most snakes they're pretty, once you catch them, they're pretty easy to get. But they're just wanting to get away from you like anything else.
Do you ever get sitting down at night and you're going to watch TV and somebody calls and you got to get up and go
Oh,
out?
yeah, all the time. But it's a judgment call. I might do it if it's a single lady or an elderly lady, if she's in a panic. You know,
What will that happen, twice a month that they call it the evening?
Yeah, 2 to 4, yeah, maybe once a week people will call. And people they call me all the time. I mean, because when they call wildlife technicians, it's an emergency. It can't wait, you know, and, you know, it's like this lady with these squirrels. I've called 9 or 15. I mean,
But you can say, hey, I'll come out tomorrow or
yeah, and
Thursday.
I'll tell them what you got going on. Well,
Yeah.
you know, so I'll come by in the morning. Well, I want you to come by tonight. Well, this is the cost for me to come out. You know, but if it's a snake, I'll go for people because I just know that they're in a full panic. But a lot of times people's like, hey, put me on your schedule. But we try to do 1 day service. Somebody calls me, I'll go that day. Might not be able to get to it, but at least I'll go look at it and give them a price.
And Saturdays too.
I worked all day yesterday. Yeah, and be working a little bit this evening. But this lady here, she don't.
Now, when you say you worked yesterday, how long did you work till?
I got home probably about 5.
So
You
you
know,
worked all day.
I worked all day. Well, when you're self-employed, just like you work, man, to be successful.
And if you have, the more help you have, the more problems you have.
Yeah, you know, like I said, and I got my little nephew. He's starting to help me a little bit more. And people, like somebody calls me with a skunk, you know, I try to go that day. I try to put them in priority. 'Cause if you get a skunk in your house, a lot of people they have to go get a motel room. They're not
Yeah, we hadn't talked about skunks. Are they
Yeah.
dangerous other than
No.
spraying you?
best smell in the world, man. My wife tells me when I first started, she said, "Oh, you smell like a skunk. You smell terrible." And about 6 months later, she goes, "No, it smells like TJ Maxx." That's right. She gets all that money, goes to TJ Maxx and buys stuff for the grandbabies.
Yeah, what do you do when you get in and you smell like a skunk?
And I just take my clothes. I rarely smell like a skunk. If I do, I take my clothes off outside, give them a day or two, then wash them.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't get sprayed too much unless when they're mating, they're just spraying all the time. They're doing that to attract a female, and so February, March, and April.
I guess female skunks like that smell better than.
Well, the males are fighting each other, and then they're spraying, and and it just gets. I mean, you can almost taste it. It gets so bad. But that's where I make the most profitable skunks, because they are destructive. They claw and they just do everything. So I mean, my records, I caught 15 skunks out of one guy's house.
Why would we have skunks, beavers, and raccoons? They're all real similar animals.
Yeah. Well, they're just, and like I say, it's just the wildlife mainly is, if it's a harsh winter, the wildlife's not as good. Mm-hmm. They don't survive, but it's just loss of habitat. I mean, like groundhogs this year, it's been a bumper year. I've probably caught 50 groundhogs in 6 weeks. And they are very destructive. I'm doing a job for a lady right now. They've dug underneath her air conditioner. She's got a split unit. The holes are so big. The split unit's about a foot from the house. Mm-hmm. It's falling down in the holes. It's gotten so bad. And she's an elderly lady. Mm-hmm. I'm like, ma'am, we're going to fix this hole with rock and concrete. And it's going to take a ton of rock to build your unit back up, because it's leaning. So I said, ask her, she was about 80. I said, have your daughter come over and let me show her, because I don't want her to think that I'm not just going to charge you so much money. So I met her, and I knew her daughter, went to high school with her. I said, let me show you. She goes, oh, no, what are we going to do? So I think I'll be able to fix that for you. Just throw a ton of big brick, little brick, and then stone, then concrete, just to hold the AC up. It's going to fall down that hole. And she just never noticed it.
You hadn't walked around that side of the house, I
never.
guess.
And so I've caught two. She called me yesterday. She said, hey, you got one of them big things in your trap. She don't know what they are. But they've ate through her porch. She's got lattice work on her porch. It's got 2 big holes, but it ate right through the lattice work. Going through the lattice work, coming out the other end, going under the air conditioner.
You'd think some kind of ultrasonic sound buzzing would keep
nothing.
these animals.
I go and ask all the time. People's got them things up there. I'm like, you care to turn that strobe light off? It's killing my eyes. And there'll be a raccoon or a squirrel.
That bird, that job you're doing in that retainer wall.
Yeah.
That I saw online where they had these silver things that spin.
Those are mainly put out for woodpeckers. That's the main, and it works a little bit with woodpeckers. These owls, hawks, people buy, they just sit on them. They don't care. Mm-hmm. They just sit right. I tell people, I'm gonna buy all these hawks. You're wasting your money, and then I'll see them out. Hey, all that stuff I bought. They just sit on their heads. They don't care. Well, you go to a marina and you'll see those fake owls everywhere.
Everywhere.
And there's thousands of birds flying around them.
And if you go to, that's why these travel trailers have those lights that look like owls, I guess, right? They think they're. Well, some of these plastic lights are shaped like owls.
Yeah, they don't do anything. Like you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you ever go to the garden center?
Yeah.
You ever hear all that crazy noise in there? Mm-hmm. You know what that is? That's a predatory bird trying to scare the birds off. So next time you go, you're hearing all this crazy sounds in the garden center.
Yeah.
They've got big speakers up trying to scare the birds off. There's birds everywhere in there. They don't care. Mm-hmm. But that's so I always tell people, they're like, man, I always hear that when I go to Home Depot or Lowe's. I didn't know what it was. Those are predatory birds. They're trying to scare everything off. It's like, there's birds everywhere in there. It don't work.
Nature will take back over quick.
The only way you can stop is exclusion, period. Put up bird netting or bird spikes. That's the only way you can stop it, and they'll leave.
When you say exclusion, you mean the barrier.
Barrier, keeping stuff out, like putting the...
only way to keep them out is not let them in.
Don't let them in. If you can't, just like your kids, if you got children, man, you stop feeding them, turn the internet off.
Yeah.
They ain't coming home. Same way with animals. Exclusion is 85% of my business. And I tell people, we've got to do it. When I catch them, I've got to fix it. Well, I'll do it myself, and that's fine. But I do not guarantee my work if I don't do it. Those people will call me back 3 months later. Those skunks are back. Did you fix the air conditioner? No, we want you to do it all now.
So what do they do? Just remember where they were staying? They go
Well,
back?
I show them. People's like, I've got skunks. I have no idea where they're getting in. Well, I'll walk around the house and I'll find it immediately. That's just what I do. So I'll either put concrete and rocks in there to keep them out. And a lot of people's like, well, I'll just do it myself. Well, that's fine. But I can't guarantee my work unless I do it. Because when I catch everything, I do it immediately. Like I went to a house yesterday. Probably put 5 bags of concrete and 5 bags of 50-pound rock. Well, these groundhogs have dug underneath this little lady's house. She's about 86, and you know, I might not even charge her. Just a sweet little lady, don't have any family, and just. Yeah. I said, no, what I'm gonna do? I said, we'll take care of it for you. Well, I understand, ma'am, you want a fixed income. So I went there yesterday and just put rock, concrete out because it was fixing to rain and get it all fixed.
Like me.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know, and I told her, I said, you're good. You know, I said, we'll take care of it. Well, I'm gonna pay you something. Because a lot of, you know, our generation, they don't want it done for free. Yeah, and I tell her, I said, ma'am, you know, and I'll probably tell her, where do you, she go, I go to church, you know, over here, just put a little something in the offering plate. Mm-hmm. We're good. That way, you took care of God, you took care of me, you took care of yourself, and you'll feel better. I do that for quite a few people that I know they can't pay, but their kids ain't gonna come do it for them.
No, if they were, they'd be there.
They've done it, so I go do it for them, and you know that's what I do with her. Just sweet as can be. Lives up in Charleston, and these groundhogs have took over her yard. They're everywhere. They're eating her tomato plants. She's in tears over her tomato plants. I said, hey, we're growing them, so I'll bring you some. So I'm gonna try to finish that job up Wednesday. But I went laid on my concrete.
How many tomato plants you got?
We did 4 tomato plants, 4 pepper plants, 2 squash. It's the first garden me and my wife's ever done. So we went and built this little thing in the backyard. It's about the size of this table. So we put our little plants out. You know, they're all about this big.
That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm like, man, do you think we got enough stuff planted? Because when you first plant it, it don't look like nothing. Yeah. Man, you walk out there now, it's to the ceiling. I'm like, holy cow. We just like keep the grandkids from picking everything. They want to go pick everything. Yeah. It's not ready yet. So she got her first pepper the other day. My wife, Natalie, she ate like an apple. I was like,
they're good. Those
I can't do that. Hey, she ate that green pepper like it was an apple.
Is it banana pepper?
We ain't doing banana pepper. We like red. We like red pepper. So she retired a couple of years ago. So she does all my website stuff and all the billing. So we've been blessed. I mean,
I go to the farmers market over by on Peerless Road.
We go to the one in Charleston now. There's a little one in Charleston there. Mike Brown owns.
Let's see.
You know the doctor's office used to be in Charleston, little doctor's office right before the gas station.
Yeah.
Well, they moved across the street where his wife Tina's got a little farmer's market there.
Oh, so, I didn't know it was across the street.
So we live in Charleston.
They used to be under that shed, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but she's there now, and she makes homemade banana nut bread and all kind of stuff.
Do they have homegrown tomatoes?
Oh yeah, he's got a huge farm on the river, so their produce is fabulous. So we've been going there. They even got baked potatoes. Yeah, they're good. So we try trading Charleston.
They already baked the potatoes?
No, you just take them home.
You go bake them.
And nobody can bake a potato like me. My buddies even call me like, hey, how do I need to bake a potato? And I tell them, $3.75, 2 hours, and you're good to go.
You put butter and sour cream?
Just butter.
Salt?
No.
Pepper?
No. Pepper, cracked pepper. We're cracked pepper. Yeah. We're cracked pepper fans.
I like a lot of pepper.
So we cook a lot.
You ever put Worcestershire sauce on it?
No,
that's good.
I'm a teriyaki man.
I can't eat that teriyaki.
That's it, man. That's me. I love it.
It's kind of sweet to me.
Oh, I like it.
Is it sweet to you?
It is, but I like it. I'm just, like when I go Hibachi Express. Hey, that Shannon used to be a customer of mine. I sold chemicals. That's my favorite place in the world to eat. My wife's like, it swells my eyes. I can't eat there.
Which one's the
over there
Hibachi?
by Jenkins? By Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
And
I go to the Thai restaurant next to Shoney's.
Yeah.
They're good too.
Yeah, it's good too.
Same food, right? It's just rice.
I guess. I like the Hibachi Express.
But I like homegrown tomatoes.
Oh, my wife eats. I don't eat them at all. She loves them.
Oh, I come about November the 4th. That's when the good ones come out.
Yeah.
About the 4th. I'll just eat that and saltine crackers for a month.
No, she just takes them off the vine and eats them. I just can't. No, our grandbabies, they love those tomatoes, but I don't eat them.
Homegrown tomatoes.
I just like, I'm a squash and zucchini man. That's about all I do.
I like squash.
Had a squirrel over today in the garden. I'm like, big boy, you need to get out of the garden.
You don't know who he's messing with.
Yeah, you have any idea who I am? You know, what I do for a living.
Do you think animals have evolved from what they were 40 years ago?
Yeah. But in today's time, I think I think there might be less just because of habitat.
But I mean, is being smarter or faster or anything
they're
like that?
They're probably smarter now because they've had to migrate with humans, and to live with us. I mean, you imagine Cleveland when you went to high school. I mean, there was nothing here.
Nothing.
And Cleveland has gotten crazy. As much stuff as came in, so wildlife is still flourishing, but it's flourishing in subdivisions and, the mall. I mean, I went to a realtor the other day, had a raccoon fall through the ceiling. Yeah.
That'd scare you to death.
Oh, those girls were flipping out. And I caught it pretty quick. Insulation everywhere.
And it was scrambling, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So I caught it, and it was an extremely mean one. And you got a bunch of girls in there. And
what about the bird's nest in gutters? Do you get that a lot?
I don't have many gutters. Most of my bird nests they get up in the soffit. I went to Mallard Cove the other day, and ladies got birds. And, of course, when the soffit hits the roof, it's just, there's nothing to hold it there.
Especially with this new vinyl siding.
Yeah, and that bird, it was just nest everywhere, poop. So once I get them all out of there, I'll take that wire mesh and I'll fix it. I'll drill it to the roof and the soffit where they can't get back in.
Because they'll tend to go back to the same spot they got in.
Every animal will. So if you catch any animal and you don't catch them all, the offspring will go right back to that same place they were born. I do a job for a doctor on the river. Mm-hmm. I go there once or twice a year and catch 10 to 15 raccoons off his porch every year. And he's like, what can I do? Well, there's nothing we can do, just trap them. I said, they're going to keep, you live on the river. So when they have their babies, they're going to keep coming back. So I go there every year, and get them off his porch.
Have you ever heard these stories about dogs that travel miles and miles and miles to get back with their...
Yeah.
You believe that?
I guess you'd have to, because you see quite a few stories like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a lot of stories like that.
If they made a show just about that...
Yeah, you'd do well.
There was one cat that they had. They went like 3,000 miles. They moved from like California.
Yeah, and it made its way back?
Made its way back, and they've never figured out how it did that.
Well, I just think wildlife, they just got a sixth sense about how to get places.
But what about dogs and cats? Same thing?
It must be. Yeah, I mean, I've had people have cats, and they'll be gone for like a week. They just show back up. Mm-hmm. Like, they think, they just thought something had happened to it.
What about coyotes?
I get a lot of calls on coyotes. I don't do any coyote removal in the city.
Well, you can't.
I can.
But how could you do it? What would you do?
Well,
you can't catch them, right?
Well, I've got a trap where I can catch them. It's about from here to that green thing and about this tall. It's a huge trap. Coyotes are extremely hard to catch. Or I can use something called a foothold where it grabs their foot, which I'll stick my hand in there and it don't even hurt it. It's called a rubber jaw trap, and it don't hurt them at all. But I just don't do them in the city because the chance of a child or
walking up to the trap.
Well, they'd never see it. They would never see it the way we set them. But catching a cat or a dog, I mean, somebody'd sue for everything you got if you hurt their dog. So I was like, and I had a lady call me the other day from New York, and her mom lives in one of these big houses off Ocoee Street. She's an elderly lady. It's got a beautiful house there, about 12 acres. Mm-hmm. Hey, we got these coyotes in her barn. She said, I just don't know what to do. I said, I'll go look at it for you, ma'am. I said, I can try to put a big trap out. This is the price. But I said, they will leave. They're just having their babies there. And that house is, you're going down Ocoee Street, it's on the right, so it kind of backs the Greenway. And there's just all kind of, that strip, just everything. And those coyotes were in there. I said, well, they have their babies, they'll be gone. She said, well, my mom's 87 years old. I don't know what to do. I said, well, I'll come by and check it once a week. Just tell you why things going on. And if it gets serious, I'll put some traps out and catch it. But this is the fee. She says, well, just send me a bill on, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm in town. I ran by. So I've been by there 2 more times. I said, I think they're gone. I hadn't seen them. And for something like that, I'm not going to charge anybody. That lady was just very appreciative. I was like, I think your mom's good.
I think I saw one night when I was driving by the village, by the Bradley Square Mall. I think I saw one run through the parking
I'm sure
lot.
You did.
Because it looked like it's just a little more hairier than a dog.
Yeah, right now they don't have, yeah.
And slightly shorter, if that
big
makes
bushy
sense.
tail.
And a little longer than a dog.
The number one enemy of a coyote is a car. So their only enemy is a car. That's it. That's why you see them dead on the interstates. But other than that, they have 0 enemies, and they are everywhere.
Now, they'll run and get a dog from a house.
Dog, cat,
and
calf.
The dog will follow them, and then the pack kills them. Is that right?
No, I think with most coyotes, they're coming to get you. They come up. I mean, I've had people call me and be like, hey, this coyote came up and grabbed our cat and just grabbed it, killed it, took off with it. Happens every day. I mean, I got people calling me all the time.
What about a dog this tall, like a black lab? Would a coyote bother it?
Not at all.
But my wife says that they get the dog to follow them and then the pack kills them. Is that true?
No, 100% false. Yeah, they're just they're after cats, rabbits, squirrels, mice, whatever they can get a hold of, they'll get. But like I've got a lot at the country club. Had a lady call me, hey, our little Shih Tzu is gone. I said, man, my coyote's got it. I hate to tell you that. She looked for a week for that thing. I said, there's nothing else would have happened except a coyote got it. In a 5-pound dog and a 40-pound coyote, it's over. So I hate telling people that, but I don't trap too many of them unless somebody calls me. It's got cattle, and they're getting their calves.
All they're wanting to do is get small domestic animals and eat them.
But yeah, that's what they're doing. But you got to look at. That's no different if you go to Yellowstone. A bear eating.
Yeah.
Elk or whatnot. It's the same way here.
Same thing.
So they're after.
Or us eating the elk.
Mm-hmm. They're after whatever they can get. So, but I get about 2 calls a week on coyotes. I had a commissioner call me, wanted me to go to Blueberry Hills and trap them. I can't do that. I said I can't just go set a bunch of traps out in a big subdivision like Blueberry Hills. Mm-hmm. Was it Blueberry Hills? Yeah, right there behind the Garden Plaza.
Yep, Blueberry Hill.
And I'm like, I can put out some live traps. But that's about all I could do.
I don't think that is Blueberry Hill.
What is that in there? I think that's what it is.
Now, what's the story on red wolves?
Well, from what I understand, I had a buddy that when he got out of college, they put all the red wolves in Cage Cove years ago. Years and years ago.
Where'd they bring them from?
I don't know. They trapped them out. They tried to introduce them, from what I understand, to the Cage Cove. Well, my buddy, who's a builder now, they'd go in there and set up traps, catch hogs, shoot the hogs to feed the red wolves. And they could not survive up there. So I think they all just died.
Died off.
They couldn't survive. I don't know. I think it was the climate and the habitat, because they're used to Colorado, Idaho. And think about it, they were tracking them, they were feeding them, and they still couldn't survive. And I think from what I understand, the program just went away, and I think the state was really involved in that, trying to introduce them back into the wilderness. But I don't think it ever worked.
I think they might have gone extinct, or were just extinct around here.
Around here, well, they tried to introduce them back. But same thing that they've done with elk, and they brought elk back, which they live fine. They're
what
doing
about
real well.
wolves? Is there a wolf?
No, there's no wolf around here at all. Yeah, I think near a wolf would be, Colorado, Idaho. And you ever seen a wolf? A live wolf?
No, and if I saw a coyote, I'm not sure if I'd know if it was it or a dog.
I saw a wolf mounted one time. I think it was a timber wolf. That thing stood about that tall and about 6 foot long. I didn't know what it was till the guy told me. I'm like, they're huge.
So you knew it wasn't a dog?
Oh no, they're huge. I mean, they're 150 pounds. They're monsters. A wolf. There's no wolves around here. I think you've got fox. You got a lot of foxes.
Yeah, what's the deal with foxes?
I get calls every day on foxes.
I see them. I ride bicycles out around Chatta Valley and stuff, and I'll see them running through the fields.
Yeah, they're just good animals. They mainly just chase down squirrels and mice and just small stuff, and they're no harm to nobody. I mean, I won't even go trap a fox. Somebody calls me about a fox, I don't go trap them.
It ain't bothering nothing.
No, and I tell people, I said, well, there's a fox and 5 little babies. And I'll go out there, and the mom will run off 30 feet but won't leave. Well, yeah, she's protecting her babies. I said, you give it a month, they'll be gone. Everyone will be gone.
A fox now a coyote, you're saying, doesn't do anything except get small animals.
Yeah, and a fox, he's probably getting chipmunks, squirrels, occasional rabbits.
Why is that? Is a fox not as strong as a coyote?
Yeah, too small. They weigh, 20 pounds? They're tiny. Where a coyote's 40 to 80 pounds.
Would a fox be like a Mustang horse? The Mustangs are kind of a smaller horse.
Yeah, a lot smaller. Foxes are little. They're all hair. I mean, if you saw one wet,
it's like a squirrel that looks like a dog or something.
Yeah, they're small. They're real pretty. But a lot of people, trap foxes for sport, for the fur. But I don't even go trap for people. I said, they'll go away unless it's like one of my realtor companies will call and say, hey, they've got these foxes. I'll just go over and talk to the customer. This thing will do nothing to you. It won't attack your dog, your cat. It'll run from a cat. A cat's almost as big as a fox. A big cat is. So they're harmless. I don't even
Remember
trap
that song by Sweet, Fox on the Run?
No, yeah.
Remember that song?
I do. But they're great for the environment. And they're no harm to anything.
And coyotes really aren't either.
No.
But why does everybody want to kill a coyote?
I don't know. I get calls.
They're
3 or 4
more
days.
scared of coyotes than they are anything.
I get calls all the time on them. People flipping out. What's going to kill my child? Well, no, but people, and it's just people just don't understand. They're uneducated about it. So no, they're not going to do that. 'Cause they see it, they're going to take off. I mean, how many coyotes do you see?
Now, if you had a cat outside, it might get that.
There's
right?
a very high possibility. If it stayed outside, that's what's going. Well, the lady I'm doing the groundhog jobs for, over across from Chick-fil-A, because man, my 3 cats are just gone. I've not seen them. What do you think happened? A coyote's got them. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, what else is going to get a cat?
Wonder why it doesn't get my cat out here.
I don't know. Your cat might be smart, but she's lost 3 cats. She said in 2 months. 3. Now they might have just died.
Now, what would a coyote do? And what would a coyote do if it met up with a raccoon?
Nothing. We go their separate ways. They're not going to mess with a raccoon. I mean, there's not much going to mess with a raccoon. They're too mean. I mean, they're mean animals. Yeah, you'd be surprised.
But they won't bother a cat.
No, they'll come. They'll just even a skunk and a cat.
Yeah.
will eat out of the same plate. I got people calling me. The guy I did a job for the other day. His cats, and he had a mom and 7 little babies, and they all hung out together.
What about a gray fox?
Same deal.
Same as a.
I've caught 2 gray foxes and 3 red foxes by accident. They didn't mean to catch them. Had them in a trap. I just let them go. They were just looking for food, and just turned them loose.
Nobody has foxes as pets, like you would a cat. Some people have pigs as a pet.
Yeah, you can keep a skunk as a pet now. Passed a law 2 years ago.
If
in
you wanted
Tennessee.
to, right?
Yeah, a lot of people do it. They get them descended and keep them as pets. I get a lot of calls on potbelly pigs. I had a guy call me about 3 weeks ago. Had one at his plant, and I couldn't ever catch it. The trap I couldn't catch it. It was so strong, it kept breaking out of my trap.
What do you mean his plant? You mean a manufacturing plant?
Yeah, he owned a sheet metal shop, and that thing was getting in his garden. There was 4 of them, and man, I could walk from here to that rocking chair to him. He's about that tall, and somebody had got it, and they got tired of monkeying with it, and they let it go.
Oh.
And I never did catch it, and I'm like, man, the only thing I can do is just maybe call the state, and they'll dispatch it for you. But I'm like, and he just like, what's getting on me? What's getting in his garden? And he could almost walk right up to it, and he'd find it run off. And they are lightning fast. I was surprised. I didn't know they were that fast. How fast those potbelly pigs could run off.
Wonder why people don't have foxes as pets.
I don't think you can. I don't know the law on that. That'd be a
I
state.
guess there's a.
Yeah, I don't know if you can or not. But
We're
I know
not supposed to have any wild animals as
exactly.
pets.
But I think you can keep a skunk now, if I'm not mistaken. But that's all through TWRA.
Of course, who would want to, right?
Yeah, man, you never know, man. A lot of people's got these snakes and everything else. Yeah, a lot of people's got them. I had a guy had a snake in his garage, and he was terrified. But he had a 7-foot Burmese python in an aquarium. I'm like, well, man, I was worried about that snake, and I'm just like, what's in that aquarium? Oh, it's my python. And you're worried about a chicken snake in your house? I was really shocked. He was terrified, but that python, he just picked it up and held it.
Why would this python in an aquarium? It wouldn't have anywhere to go. It'd almost be a cruel existence, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, they just keep them. I think a lot of people take them out and play with them or whatnot. I was at Ace Hardware last year. A lady had one wrapped around her neck, about a 7.5 foot.
In Ace Hardware?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Tractor Supply.
And they let her in?
Yeah, she's in line with that thing, wrapped around her neck. I've never seen that before ever. Some girl had it.
I'd have to leave.
I just
Are
shocked.
they not dangerous?
Obviously not. She had it wrapped around her neck. In Tractor Supply, waiting in line. It's just laying there like it wasn't even alive. It's about a 7-8 footer. It's a big one. It's about that big around.
Now, you'd have to be a sick individual.
I don't know. She had it.
why? You'd have to just be sick.
I didn't even notice it to the guy.
How would you even find out you liked that?
I don't know. Not me. I'm not a snake fan either. My wife's terrified of them. That's one thing she hates is snakes. So she was on that snake call with me yesterday, but she didn't even get out of the, she wouldn't get out of the car.
You know, in the Bible it talks about the snake walked.
Yeah, he did.
Remember reading that?
The serpent until
It was wonder how it walked.
Well, I'm sure it had arms and legs, but I think according to the Bible, when it tripped Adam and Eve, God took its, made
Said
it.
you'll walk on your belly for the
rest of your life. Yeah,
and everybody will.
And that's what became the serpent. It took it away from it.
But before that, it was walking around.
I'm not sure. I believe so, but
now, if that's what it said, you talk about being scary then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which would be worse, having it walk around?
Yeah, I think that would be worse. But snakes are extremely fast. You wouldn't believe how fast a snake is. They're lightning fast. If they get away from me, I barely catch them. They're so fast.
Because they go like this. They don't even look like they're touching the ground, do they?
Yeah, I had a guy call me. He had a redoing a house, and he had a plumbing leak. Well, the plumber just cut the floor out of the bedroom. He just going to jump down there. It's about a 6-foot crawl space. When he jumped down there, there's about a 5-foot snake wrapped around the plumbing. Well, he jumped back out and said, "Hey, there's a snake down there," according to his wife. So he called me and said, "Hey, where you at?" So I'm in Cleveland, Tennessee. Well, I got a snake in my bedroom wrapped around that water line the plumber's trying to fix. When can you get there? Well, where are you located at? So I'll be there in about 20 minutes. I'm in Cleveland. So I went out there, and his wife was there, his son was there. She's like, I said, "Where's it at?" So he's like, "Right there." And I reached my head in there. I reached in there and grabbed it, pulled it out, put it in a snake bag. And that lady tried to film it. She's like, "Man, you got that thing in like 8 seconds." Well, yeah, I've got the tools to do it. She's like, "Well, I want to see it." "Are you sure?" So I pulled it back out, grabbed it and pulled it out, and it was just going crazy, striking, and she was flipping out, but she wanted to film it to show her husband. And it got away from me, and it jumped on the deck. I never got it. And I finally grabbed it.
I bet you were thinking, boy, that's a dumb thing to do.
Well, yeah, now I've caught it once.
Yeah.
But I said, we'll go out in the yard and do
Yeah.
it. I don't want to let it go here, but she wanted to show her husband. So, and it was just wrapped around it was just down there just looking for food, and that plumber jumped down. That thing was looking right at him, wrapped around the blue pecs. Yeah.
But they don't scare you.
Not anymore. I mean, you catch so many of them, and you got the tools to do it. You can get them pretty quick. Mm-hmm. Now that one other day I got out of that closet was pretty rough. That was a monster. He was so big I could hardly control it because it was it was almost 7.5, 8 foot long.
That's taller than you.
That was a monster snake. But finally I grabbed it and I told the guy, "Say, open your front door." And her dogs were barking, trying to grab it, and that thing was going crazy because I couldn't get it in my bag. I said, "Open your front door, let me get it outside." And he's like, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Open your front door." Because this thing was just striking the wall. His wife was screaming, the dogs were barking.
Yeah.
So I finally got it outside and was able to get it by the neck and get it in my snake bag. And but I always want to get them out of the house. First thing I do is get them out of the house. Then once I get them out, I can deal with them. But those snake calls, man, they'll even ask price. When can you be here?
Well, how many of those will you get in a week or in a month?
Well, right now I probably get 2 snake calls. I probably get 2 snake calls a week right now because all the snakes are just coming out looking for food. Now that they've hibernated all winter, they're just coming out and the food's everywhere, like baby birds. And it's going to really start slowing down because of all the baby birds and mice are all gone. So they get back in the fields or whatnot. But I still get quite a bit of calls on them.
So they'll go around the houses to get the bird's nest, and after all of those are kind of gone, then they go out into the field.
Yeah, most of it, I think they do. But if your house, like say, if your home is, you'd be surprised the amount of houses that don't have crawl space doors. Well, they go in those crawl space doors, they start living down there because everything else is coming in there. Mm-hmm. Or like this house I did the other day, like I was telling you, his crawl space vents, there was they had the holes about that big in them with no screen. So I'm like, boy, I don't see how they're getting in. Well, I just took my tongs and stuck them straight through that. They're getting into your vent, so I sealed all those up. But if those are open, you're gonna have mice go in.
That's why your foundation vents have those screens on them, like.
Well, most foundation vents now they're kind of slotted, about this big.
But they have the screen behind them.
Yeah, but that screen is made out of a screened-in porch, and after about 3 or 4 years, it's rotten.
Unless you get the ones from the brick company, they have the ones that have the better.
And they might have.
But like the ace and stuff, yeah, they just rot.
They rot, and then stuff chews through them. Mm-hmm. And then I put the stainless steel mesh wire over the whole thing, and they'll never get through that. And it's main snakes is exclusion, and when I do all that, people have a peace of mind. They just, they're a little bit more at ease. And that guy called me yesterday. He's like, "You've been back up there?" So I'm going right now, and I said, I think your snakes are gone. They either went back out those holes, so I excluded his whole house, put out big glue boards to catch them. So I tell him, you check the glue boards in 6 months, you got a snake on, just call me. I'll come back for free. Because that happens. I had a guy, he walked in his basement. He must have had 9 snake skins hanging all over his basement. $800,000 house. And he never went down there. He pretty much a businessman. And I caught 3 snakes out of his house, and then I caught another one probably 4 months later. And there was no exclusion to be done. He had a solid brick house, and it was going in his garage. When he'd leave his wife leave his garage door, and I finally caught the last one. But it's on Mouse Creek Road, almost the very end of Mouse Creek Road. There's 3 or 4 houses right there. You know where Robert Wright built those houses? Well, he built his big houses. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look over, you see Mr. Wright's house. There's 3 or 4 houses. That's where that snake was at. I mean, a beautiful home, solid brick. I said, this thing has lived here for a long time because the guy never went downstairs, and those snake skins were hanging everywhere. I said, it's been living here. He said, well, how do you know? You see all these skins? That's why I know it's been here. They don't shed it once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we finally caught it. In most places, I'll find one skin.
Why do they shed, reckon?
I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it's because they're growing. They just. But I don't know. I don't know why.
I'm glad we don't shed, don't you?
That's the truth right there. Except when I go to Florida, I shed. When my wife forced me to go to Florida, I get all sunburned. I shed. That's the whole time I shed.
What do you do of the evening, like tonight? You'll go and.
Well, I've got corporate jobs I do, and I'll go run my corporate. I'll probably go to my corporate places and check all my traps, because usually I go to my corporate accounts.
Now, what if you have one in there?
Just any animal, I grab it, put a new trap out.
Where you take the animal?
It depends what it is.
What if you still
like
take
if it's a possum, I'll just take it to my farm and let it go. But I take it far enough away where it'll never come back.
Would you think you've got a sanctuary?
Well, probably, but like I say, a lot of stuff, you take it to the farm, you're kind of helping the ecosystem with coyotes or whatnot. Yeah. And then they're not going to come back.
They're just going to leave.
Well, yeah, they'll leave, and I so much that they don't get back into my customer. So
what about your neighbor?
Well, I don't have many neighbors. Where I take it, there's no houses around, so I don't let anything go at my house. I don't want to get in my house. So, but a lot of animals, they go to these manufacturing plants, and like I've been trying to catch I think it's a possum in one of these plants off Old Tasso Road, and it got in somehow, and it's behind a wall, so you've got to lift up the false ceiling, and it's down there in that wall. Well, I can't get a trap in. The only thing I do is just grab it, and it's so fast I can't get it. So I told that guy, I said, man, it's going to be hard to catch it, very hard. The only thing I do is hopefully catch it asleep and catch it, because they left the doors open, and once it gets in, it can't find its way out. That's the biggest problem I have with some of the big manufacturing plants. They'll get something in there, and it can't find its way out. And people just see it running. Of course, when you're in something like that, well, they've got to lift me up on a lift 40, 50, 60 feet. And they're extremely hard to catch like that.
And you can't check that tonight. You'd have to go in. You're just checking traps like tonight.
Yeah, I'll just check traps around all those. But like if there's one inside a plant, I just go in. Like tonight, like if I run up to a couple of my places in Charleston, I just got passes. The guards they know me. I just go in and check things. A lot of stuff gets in the plants or get in the office or whatnot, and they'll I've done a job up for the mill in Calhoun, and man, these raccoons just people come in, we got something in our plant in one of our offices. Well, how do you know? There's raccoon tracks everywhere, and the trash is destroyed. So I go up there and get them.
They're coming from the river.
They're coming from the river. Yeah, and it's just a common problem. Possums or beavers or pigeons or whatever. Yeah. It's just habitat.
So they've got you on speed dial.
Yeah, they just text me now. Go get them, but
you send a bill there, or you send it to some company?
My wife does it. She does it every month, and but some of my big customers, when they call, I'm there. You know, they've had other people in the past, and they've called, like when I first got a bunch of my work, they'd sat down, well, tell me what you do. If we tell you to catch a cat, and you catch 6 possums, something else, how you going to bill us? I'm going to bill you for the possum, and that's it. But whatever else I'll catch, I'll just take it off for free. No big deal. We've had other people in here that we told them to catch cats, and they caught 50 possums, charged $100 a possum. So I don't do that. So I'll take them off for free. So I've built my reputation of being honest with them. Take pictures of everything I get, send it to my contact. Then after about a year or so, they're like, we don't need any pictures. You know,
but we try to send them a picture just so you can say, hey, I got it.
Yeah, that's what I caught. You know, it's just like, this is what I did for you. You're paying me a lot of money to come do this. I want to show you what I'm doing for you. You know, but a lot of my contacts now, it's like, I'm good. But, you know, I get calls in the middle of the night. You know, either a snake in one of the plants or whatnot, and I get up and go take care of it. But I'm fortunate because I live in Charleston and I can access them pretty quick. You know, and I've just built my company on that you can trust me to do what we do. So I've got a good relationship with my contacts.
You've got a good business.
You know, but I've worked at it. You know, I worked 2 jobs for 15 years. Worked a corporate job. I'd get up 6 o'clock in the morning, run my traps till 8, run $1 million chemical business till 4, come back home, work till dark for almost 10 years.
Was that hard quitting?
No. They begged me to stay. They call me. They still call me today. I'm done. You know, and you know, I worked so my wife could have a better life. You know, she worked since she was 14 years old, and you know, I said I'm gonna get you retired at 59. And I worked hard, you know, to get us financially with this, and a good friend helped me get my business started. So all things she does now is help run the grandkids and enjoy life. I mean, that's what your wife's supposed to do. So I worked hard for 15 years, and I tell people this. I just didn't just, you know, somebody hand me this business. Man, I worked at it. You know, I worked hard, you know, and 95% of my customers are happy, and I know 5% probably, some people just can't please.
You probably worked Saturdays for how many of those 15 years?
Probably every one of them. Yeah, every one of them. You know, and a lot of times on Saturdays, that's the only day that you can go meet people. Because I got a lot of people that'll call me and be like, man, here's the code to the house. Go in there and get it.
Yeah.
You know, and when you get your reputation like that, you've done something. They don't even know you. You know, and you know, like this guy from Nashville called me, and I did a job for a lady who had some possums in their attic, and they lived in New York, and their father was dying. So I was like, man, these things have destroyed your attic, and they had these big closets, and they just pulled down everything, pooped in there and everything else. So I just took her pictures. What you got? Give me a price. Gave her a price. She's like, hey, just go ahead and get it done. Here's the key to the house. And then 5 days later, their dad died. So she's like, anyway, you get all this done tomorrow. So our father has died. Our whole family's coming in. They all stay at their house. Real nice house over off Blytheferry Road. So I changed my whole schedule. Worked there all day. You know, and got it all done. Got it cleaned up, and you know, and that they didn't know me from Adam. But you know, I finally got her done, and you know, and then they got their father, you know, buried and everything. And I think she read my Google reviews, and so she'll give me. And I just billed her the other day, so I'll just send her a link for a Google review. And her whole family was from New York, and I met them all. I had my wife make them a pound cake because they all came in from out of town. And just great, just good people. They're just super nice. And
your wife made them a pound cake, or vice versa?
No, she made them a pound cake. I said, hey, make these people a pound cake because they've had to, you know, all of them came in from New York, and their dad lived here forever. And I forgot what his name was. You know, it's hard coming in and having to stay at your dad's house when he just passed. You know, and you know.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so she made them a cake, and they were just really good people. Very, you know, just going through a very hard time. Well, let me give you a check. Man, I'll send you a bill. You take care of your dad. We're good. I'll be in about a week or 2. I don't need you, you know, just paying me right now. And I'm like, well, let me show you what I did. She's like, we're good. She says, I just took a glance in there. I don't need any pictures. And we did a lot of work there because these possums and squirrels were coming in through their attic vents, and we have a little nephew. So he got there, and we got it all banged out pretty quick. Just a real good lady. So, and that was a pretty big job for us.
Boy, you've got a good business going.
I stay busy. But I've worked at it though. I've tried to build a reputation.
Now that you've quit the other job and you're doing this full time, do you find that, you know, a lot of times the more busier you are, the more you get done? I mean, it's like if you have more time, you find yourself killing more time? You ever had that problem?
Now, I'm busier now than when I had 2 jobs. I don't know if the Lord's just blessed me or what, but I'm busier than I've ever been in my life. And I think a lot of it's got to do with the pandemic because everybody's home.
They're listening at home.
They're home like, man, what? We hear stuff all the time. And now everybody's working from home. So I don't know if that's just helped me retire, but everybody's living at home. And nobody's going back to work.
So this COVID's even affecting raccoons now.
Well, squirrels, possums, everything, because people are home. I mean, you think about how often are you home? Well, you're never home.
Never home.
And now you got a corporate job. You're home all the time now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are going back to a hybrid schedule, and that's helped me out a lot too, because people are staying at home. They never really heard anything because they work 14 hours a day. So I think that helped me too. So it was a good
Probably
time.
a little bit. You take just a little bit of that, and that's a lot.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. So it's been good, and I think that the world has changed with this pandemic. With people gonna start working from home. I got a good friend. His wife. She worked in Dalton forever. They had like 100-something employees down there. They shut the whole place down. Y'all work from home now on out. You imagine renting that commercial building out? Hey, we're done. Probably getting $100,000 a month. Hey, we're giving our lease, and that's happened.
And then they find out they don't even need those employees.
Exactly.
Think about that.
Absolutely.
All the fat that they have.
Yeah. So it's been good for me just for everybody staying home. So
do you go? So you're out on the job, out in the field all day. Do you take your lunch or do you eat out?
I try to go to my mom's and bake her have a meal, or I'll come home and have lunch with my wife. She'll get up and I'll try to come home and eat. But man, a lot of times I don't even eat. I'll just take Gatorade and water.
Yeah.
And you're like me, man. You're so busy, you don't even think about eating. Then we get home, we have a good meal, have time together where we can sit down and sometimes I go back out for a couple hours, but I try to get home every day and have quiet time and dinner with my wife. Try to do that. We cook at home mainly because once I'm home, I'm home.
You watch any TV at night?
A little bit, but
What do you watch?
We watch HD TV. Well, I hate to say this, there's just nothing on TV. It's either.
Well, you know what I've been doing? I've been getting all of these. I go to McKay's bookstore and get these old series of. I'm on Leave It to Beaver now.
Oh yeah.
I'm on the 3rd season. You forget how funny those shows were.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, absolutely.
I
tell my
McHale's
nephew.
Navy.
I tell my nephew about.
You ever watch McHale's Navy?
Oh yeah, watched it all the time.
Yeah.
When they painted the ship pink.
Yeah.
And they got back and it wasn't waterproof.
Yeah.
And they got safe.
That guy said, what?
Yeah, I tell my nephew he'd watch cartoons and I'd say, Reed. I said, go watch Foghorn Leghorn.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Or the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
What's that? Go.
Yeah.
And he's like, Uncle John, that is the funniest thing. That dog, that rooster beating up that dog. I said, bro, those are cartoons.
Those are cartoons.
I said, TV is almost just trash now.
Roadrunner.
Yeah, Roadrunner. All those funny
What about Wile E. Coyote?
Oh, Wile E. That's what people's like.
Yeah.
I got a Cody. You got Wile E, don't you? And they're like, they just start dying because they remembered it because they're my age.
Do you remember those two that chased each other and then they'd clock out before they?
Oh yeah.
What was I can't never think of that.
That was the sheepdog.
The sheepdog and
I think it was a coyote. And that sheepdog used to beat that thing stupid.
Yeah,
Had that hair below his eyes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they were just buddies.
They'd go and they'd clock out.
Yeah.
Remember, they'd literally
Absolutely.
clock out. They'd say, "See you, Fred."
Yeah. That was a good one. Those were the good days.
What was it, sheepdog? And
I don't know what it was called.
I can't not think of that one.
But those were the good times for him. But there's just nothing on TV.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, watched them all. So.
And the Honeymooners.
Yeah, so people ask me about a skunk. Said, you got old Pepe Le Pew in there? And people just started. And now you take somebody under 35, they don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You take an older. So I got this skunk. You got old Pepe Le Pew in there?
And HDTV, they'll reach for a board and it'll be the right size, and they'll just put it in.
That's it.
They don't see you driving to Cleveland Plywood twice.
Yeah, there's nothing on TV. It's just gotten terrible. I don't watch anything on TV no more. Just we'll watch that or. I watch, every time my wife comes home, I'm either watching Shawshank Redemption or Forrest Gump. I've seen I watched Forrest Gump.
I've seen Forrest Gump so much.
I love it. Or The Lincoln Lawyer. I love that show.
I haven't seen
awesome.
that one.
Great show. Yeah, you'd watch that. And it's a great show. But other than that, I mean,
and even American Idol's gotten.
It
was good for a few
don't watch
years.
it at all. I quit watching it. It's just everything's put
I don't watch
correct.
the news.
I don't
no
either.
more.
I don't either.
I quit watching them.
Don't watch anything. I watch a little bit of the weather to plan my week. And other than that, that's about it. So I don't watch much at all. But usually when I get home, I'm so tired. I clean up my truck, traps, take a shower, just spend time with my
Do
wife.
you write it down at night when you're where you got to go the
Yeah.
next day? Where do you write it, on a yellow
Piece of
pad
paper.
or you?
Just a little yellow pad, a yellow notepad. Like
Has it got tomorrow?
I got Monday, and I've got 7 jobs lined up. And like today,
What about Thursday?
I'll plan it Tuesday. Well, I'm hoping to start you Thursday when I get my materials in.
No rush.
But what's killing me there is it's hard, even in the traffic, you can't get materials.
I'm waiting on windows on one job.
Yeah.
I can't get any sheetrock. Can't get any OSB. Can't get any
Yeah.
trusses. Can't get any cabinets. Now what else is there?
Yeah, and people's like, well, I said, man, I can't get the material. You know, it's just got me in a
And
bind.
you know what? You'll get all the cabinets come in, but there's no hinges.
Yeah.
Or you'll get 6 windows, but the other 2 are back ordered.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible.
you can't finish.
No, I mean even with traps, I ordered 40 squirrel traps. Took me 3 months to get them. I'm like, oh, what are y'all doing? You know, and I'm just very impatient. She's like, we can't get the steel, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And
if it's got aluminum, steel, or I found out if it's got glass in it, it's used. If for some reason it's
but
back
they want you to go ahead and pay it up front. I mean, they'll
Oh,
charge.
I've been getting that. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll charge your credit card, and I'm waiting 60, 90 days, and I've done paid my credit card.
You done used the reward points.
Yeah, I'm like, and then finally they'll show up, and they'll send a big letter of apology. I was like, man, that's just the times we live in. But like I say, most of my customers, I try to get to them in a day.
Have you ever found yourself using it as an excuse when it really wasn't?
No. No, I just try to be honest.
Because it is sort of all related.
Oh yeah.
Though I mean, you can't get this trap, so you can't do that. So you had to do this instead, and now that puts that behind. So it is.
And I told people, I was like, like my squirrel season is February, March, April, May, and just get, I'll have 50, 60 squirrel traps out. I'm like, I'm out of squirrel traps. I'll get to when I can, and then I'll try to order more. And usually when I order them, man, they're there in 3 days. LA's like, it'll be.
Well, how long does a squirrel trap last?
Well, they last pretty good, but sometimes they'll just they chew on them and everything else, and they just get wear and tear on them. But
So you have to.
I have to replace them quite a
Yeah.
bit, but I do a lot of maintenance on them, to get them, to keep them, because they're out in the weather and everything else. So all the traps I get now are pretty much all stainless steel, and they're very expensive, but I don't buy any cheap traps. I had a lady call me the other day off Freewell Road. Said, hey, I got a bunch of skunks. I went ahead and went and bought me 2 traps at Tractor Supply. I said, so you got a skunk in the trap, don't you? She's like, yeah. What do I do? Well, you can pay me to come get it, or you can pay me to catch them all.
Yeah.
She's like, well, you come get them. You can have my 2 traps and just send me a bill. So she called. A lot of people will catch a skunk. Hey, I got it, but I don't know what to do with it. Well, for this amount of $1, we'll come get it and bring your trap back. But I tell them, man, there's more than one skunk. You might just seen one, because I always catch 4 to 8 skunks. So it's going to be this.
They run in packs.
It's just a family. No, they're just
yeah.
usually a male and a female.
Father, son, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's a male and a female, and then when the female is in heat, just like a deer, all the males are coming to her. And then when they have their babies, they'll have this one day they had 7 babies. That female did. They were just little bitty things. So I caught the mama, then it took me about a week to catch all the other ones. And that guy would just text me every morning, hey, you got 2 more, you got 2 more. Gary, he's a stockbroker, I forgot his last name. But I finally caught the last 2 yesterday and went and got them all. And they were underneath his deck. So he was scared they were going to spray in his house.
Yeah.
Because skunks, they all love going underneath your house. And man, it's terrible.
What if you take it off and you take it 20 miles up the road? Will they find its way back?
No.
Too far.
Yeah, I don't. Most animals I catch, most jobs I do, I never get a repeat call unless somebody lives on the river, in the woods, and you just can't stop it. You just keep trapping them. But if somebody calls me a year later,
And that's just something you've learned through experience.
Yeah. So I try to make sure when I trap them, when I do the exclusion work, I guarantee my work for life. And if they get back, I'll go back for free. And I went to maybe 1 or 2 places, and I'll do it for free, and I don't charge them anything. And it don't happen much, but animals are smart. They know how to get in a house. free rent and free food, just like over here at the Burris properties.
That's right. Or lace, or
These raccoons are living on your dime.
yeah, they probably are.
I guarantee it.
Or behind the Harry's Food Market.
Yeah, I think I got some birds. I got squirrels out of here one year too. I
think
squirrels
you did,
in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I caught those pretty quick.
Yeah.
Then we sealed it off for you. Well, they couldn't get back in.
You know, I'm an animal lover, so I just hate to hurt any animals.
Yeah, I don't. And most stuff I let
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And squirrels, same way.
You know, you're in my phone as humane animal catcher.
Yeah,
I don't know why I've got that.
And
Somehow or another.
And most 99% of stuff I do is 100% humane. You know, and I tell people that. But most people's like, I don't care what you do with it. Just get out of my house. That's the concept people
Yeah,
have
they
now.
just want it gone.
Yeah, because they can't sleep at night, and or they see them and they're just scared for their dogs or whatnot.
I'm gonna be dreaming about snakes tonight.
Love those snake calls, man. People call me, I'll catch one. How much is it? It's $200 a foot. You want to measure it? You want me to measure it? That's what I tell people now. They're like, I don't care how long. I don't charge that much, but I always tell them that, especially a woman.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm dealing with somebody like, if I was dealing with you and your wife, call,
Yeah.
just tell your husband to leave. Because you deal with a woman, they don't care.
They don't
Get
care.
that checkbook out. Yeah, they're
I wouldn't
terrified.
care either. I can't stand a snake.
Yeah, it's been a good year for snake. Whenever it's a mild winter, my snake calls are great. I get tons of calls for snakes.
Now, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to know how to? Because be honest with you, there's a lot of people watch this show.
Wildlifetechnicians.com, or it's 423-303-9137. I've got a sign right there at Harry's, big sign there. Somebody ran
and
it
the
over.
chalet, the old
chalet.
chalet.
That guy used to be a customer of mine.
Neil.
He told me for years.
Is Neil a nice guy?
Neil's a great guy. I go talk to him once a month, him and his wife. I sold him chemicals for 17 years. He goes, John, put your sign up here. I said, well, I
He
don't
ever
want...
ask you for a discount?
No. Neil's a good man. He's a businessman.
Yeah.
Because he don't want people coming in there. Well, I'll give you $20 for a room. No, it's $59. Business people don't really do that.
Yeah.
Because they know they've been beat down so much. But he tried to get me to put a sign there for years. But I didn't do it because I didn't want to be a conflict of interest with my company. So the day I left, I said, I'm bringing that sign, Neil. And I go talk to him and his wife once a month. Just talk to him. And I've got one off Michigan Avenue Road.
You know, I stopped by there and talked to him Saturday morning.
He's a good, ask him, say,
I used to go in there and get free coffee, but he don't have it now since COVID.
Neil's a great guy. He opened up a Hampton Inn down for his son down in Georgia. And he's had it for a long time.
I don't know his son.
Yeah, he opened up, I think, a Hampton way down in past Rome somewhere. I think it was his son. Yeah, tell him you know
I think
me.
it is, because he said his son was...
And I've got people calling me now. They're like, hey, how'd you get your sign up there at the Howard Johnson? This is a very good friend of mine. Well, man, I'll pay you if I put my sign underneath yours. I had a stockbroker call me. It's just not going to happen. Well, what are you paying? Or it's none of your business. I said, me and the owner are very good friends.
Yeah.
That's why my sign's there.
Yeah.
And I said, and you're not going to get your sign there. You know, and then I've got one on Michigan Avenue Road. Good friend of mine, Brent Chadden, owns some triplexes there.
Oh, I know Brent, yeah.
Yeah, right down the road from the Mexican. I got a sign there. And a lot of my work's word of mouth.
Did you go to school with Brent?
Yeah. Me and Brent grew up since 6 years old. I talk to Brent twice a day, every day. Good man.
Still?
Yeah, every day. Talked to him last night.
My wife likes him.
Yeah, I call and talk to him all the time. Yeah, so Brent's a good
You got a
one.
brother.
Yeah, Jeff and Robin. Do a lot of work for Robin. Done a lot of work for Robin. They've got about 7 or 8 rentals. I've done a lot of work for them. But a lot of my work now is word of mouth. But like I say, you know, it's wildlifetechnicians.com or it's 303-9137. And people be like, hey, so you got some squirrels out of this lady's house, and, you know, they gave me your number, and that's how a lot of it comes.
They're already calling you.
Yeah, this lady's got raccoons. She done called me 3 times, and she's feeding them. She feeds them, and she's afraid they're gonna get her cats. So
Tell her to quit feeding.
I mean, they call. I mean, how many calls have I had sitting here?
So she's feeding them and when wanting them to...
Yeah, she.
Isn't that like hitting yourself in the head and wondering why your head's hurting?
You know, people feed them, and then they get to the point when they wake up, they're sitting there waiting on them. Raccoons are waiting on them. They're like,
yeah.
Where's dinner?
Yeah.
And then they get a little aggressive, and people get scared. That's
because
what
they're
happens.
wanting them to feed them.
Yeah,
They're
and
not. They're not wanting to hurt you. They're just wanting
they're
to
sitting
feed
there
them.
waiting, and they eventually start running the cats off and get everything. This lady's a single lady, so she's kind of like, well, it's time for me to, I've caught possums, I caught everything. Well, what can I do to stop them? Bring your food in every night. Quit feeding them. I love going to houses. Got 4 or 5 bird feeders. Because
In the yards?
Oh yeah, it's like you're never gonna stop having squirrels, possums, and skunks. They're like, well, I don't see much. I'm like, well, you come out here at night, your yard be covered with animals because most animals are nocturnal. Everything's nocturnal.
So if you wanted to help not have possum or
any
skunk,
wildlife,
just
stop feeding.
and not have bird feeders right on your deck.
Yeah, but I encourage bird feeders. I think I'm gonna start buying a pound of bird seed and just giving them to my customers every year. Keep feeding everything. It'll keep
Send
me
them
in
as
business.
Christmas presents.
That's it. It'll keep me in business. But I appreciate you having me in. And
Hey, I'm glad you came.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Thanks a
and
lot.
I appreciate the business you give me too.
Hey, I love you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you.